questions. This is going to be mainly dynasty based and whatnot, but we will get redraft, probably a shit ton of redraft questions. That's probably going to be the majority of them. So, yeah, what's up, man? We're actually live. We are live. What's going on, guys? Welcome on into Fantasy Intervention. We have, of course, Mike with me. What's going on, Mike? How you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm stoked, dude. I am stoked. You see who we have tonight?
Dude, well, I just can't wait to announce it, man. I've had the jitters. I've been excited about this for like a month, right? Because I've listened to this guy talk. His dynamism when it comes to controlling the mic, controlling the climate, controlling the atmosphere of the podcast is absolutely incredible. And his knowledge isn't too shabby either. So I do want to introduce Ray GQ. What's going on, Ray? How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm hanging in there. I'm excited to chop it up with you guys. I was joking before we went live that I see y'all on my damn timeline literally like 5 times a day, every day of the week. I see y'all going live. I'm just like, dude, how do they even have the time to do this? Y'all are crazy, man. I thought I was doing it. Y'all are wild.
Oh, man. It's a toll, but it's a lot of fun. Plus, we have an excellent team over there at Join Our Circle _. Yeah, that's Join Our Circle _. Make sure you guys add the underscore, because if not, you'll end up with a knitting company that hasn't been on Twitter in like 10 years. So anyways, guys, we have an excellent team over there at Join Our Circle. We have the injury report. You know, we have prop bets. We have DFS stuff going on. You know, we've got breaking it down by the numbers on Thursdays. We got DFS on the weekends and cracking down the slate. So yeah, it's been fun. And we've had excellent guests on Wednesday night. But this is for sure in my top 3, Ray GQ. So Ray, where can everybody find you, man? Give everybody a heads up, you know, what you do, how you're qualified, you know, what they should be looking forward to in this episode.
Shit, I don't know if I'm really qualified, but I mean, I've been, I talk on Twitter at RayGQ. You could check out my show, Destination Devy, where I focus on primarily on incoming classes. So rookies, college prospects, as well as on Roto Underworld. I've got a show with the podfather, Matt Kelly himself, the Futurecast show that drops every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern time. So, and then YouTube, I'm doing YouTube work, Destination Devy. Man, I'm just trying to make it, man. Just having fun. I love talking shop, man. Played college football for a little bit, was actually teammates and still friends with Danny Woodhead. So cool. played at Chadron State. Had a couple of bigger offers out of high school, but I was a knucklehead, and some things happened and didn't work out that way. But I was fortunate enough to play a little ball, D2 football in the RMAC conference in Nebraska. And man, I'm here learning, man. You know, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy hearing other perspectives and other viewpoints. So I'm ready to chop it up, because I'm sure we will agree on some players and some takes, and I'm pretty sure we'll disagree. But that's where growth happens. So excited to get on here and talk with you guys, man. This is an honor.
Absolutely. And I am very, very excited to move forward with this episode. So Mike, go ahead and let us know what's to be expected for this episode today.
Oh, man. So this episode, I mean, you cannot bring on Ray GQ and just stick with redraft. I know that's usually our sweet spot on Wednesday nights, but we are going to dive deep into Dynasty. We are going to recap real quick our Week 10 calls. We want to focus on that. We kill it. You know how we do. But what we want to do is we want to get to the real meat. We're going to have our deep Dynasty ads, people you should be tacking on to the end of your roster before it's too late. They're going to blow up next year. We're going to have trash it or stash it, drink it up or pour one out. We'll figure out what we're going to call it at the time. But we're going to look at those taxi squad players that you know you have to get rid of for cutdown day. Should you promote them to the roster? Should you let them go? We had a bunch of people that we were hopeful on at the beginning of the year that maybe haven't panned out yet, but have a real chance at 2021. And we're going to have positions at risk for next year. We're going to talk about people that could be replaced by rookie starters next year. And then what we're going to finish off with is our top rookie to finish the season at each position. We're going to plant our flag. We're a little more than halfway through. Who's going to take us home as those stud rookies? I can tell you, if you've listened to this show for even 4 minutes, you know who my wide receiver is. But I'm going to give you my quarterback, my running back, my tight end too, just for the hell of it. You already know who the wide receiver is. We'll cover that as well. We're going to get through all that. And you know, because it's Wednesday. We're going to hit your questions. This is all about you. Get them in there. And hell, I'm going to hit Ray with a bunch of my Dynasty questions because, hell, I got some trade deadlines coming up, Ray. And, man, I am hitting that point where I'm not sure if I'm a contender or pretender. We're going to hit them all up, see what we can do. We're going to get you ready for the rest of the season, all here tonight with this stud guest we have down there.
Ray, are you sure you're going to be able to handle us? Because we're a lot, man.
Dude, I'm built for this, man. I'm built for this. Come on, baby. Let's go. Let's get it.
All right. I'm ready to kick this shit off, man. Let's do it, Mike. What do we got first?
Hell yeah. So first, we have the recap of Week 10. And I remember, let's do an up and a down. So one host picked the Cincinnati receiver and another host picked the other one. One of them was up, one of them was down. My man T. Higgins went off. I was told, hey, it's Tyra Boyd's birthday. He's going to get 400 yards and 16 touchdowns. Joe Burrow's going to be looking his way. What happened, Chase?
I said 15. I said 15, not 16. Come on.
Who won that bet? Who won that one? Who had
You
the better
got that
Cincinnati
one? You got that one?
Hell
Don't
yeah,
forget, I got
did.
Rager. But, go ahead.
Yeah, you got Jalen Reagor, who gave you not only as a smash play, but a DFS play. He was doing his thing. J.D. McKissick, who we're talking about out of the backfield. He has been PPR gold. And then Teddy Bridgewater, before he went down, did his thing. On the bad, we covered Tyler Boyd. Tight ends in general, man, if we could stop picking those because it's just straight trash at this point.
God.
It is just straight garbage.
Trash tight end.
I think there was one tight end that actually had over 12 points in PPR this past week. I think there was one.
Yep, and there were 8 that hit double digits.
Yeah, so they're all between 10 and 12.
Brown. Yeah,
Crazy,
straight
man.
garbage. Straight garbage. I missed on Troy Maine Pope. Let's just call it what it is. And Drew Lock. I mean, man, and Drew Lock wasn't just a miss. Drew Lock was horrific.
Airball. It was airball style.
Absolute garbage. But we're gonna own all of them. We're gonna keep that energy, positive or negative. We know what we're doing here. We're trying to pick those home runs for you. We've given you a bunch, but hey, every once in a while we're gonna falter, and that's what we did on a couple of these guys. Hopefully you got your hits. Hopefully you got paid out on those, and we'll keep bringing them to you every week.
Yeah, and I know Facebook, we got started out a little bit slow. We did get started out slow on Facebook. It took us about 8 minutes to actually go live. So we probably got bumped down a little bit. But make sure you guys on Facebook get those starter sit questions in. We need to make sure this thing is lined up for Ray. All right, so get those starter sit questions in and let's go. All right, before we do actually get kicked into this episode with everybody that we're going to go over, I do want to let you guys know to go check out thrivefantasy.com. Once again, that's thrivefantasy.com. Come prop up today on Thrive. What you got to do is you got to actually pick 10 out of 20 player props, and you kind of build your lineup just like you would a DFS lineup, right? You got to pick the best selections, and you go up against however many people are in each contest. The winner at the end ends up taking home some cash, and it's pretty simple overall, guys. They take the whole, diving deep into it that Ray will do for you if you decide to put in if you don't decide to put in all that work. So make sure you guys go check out Thrive. It's very simple, very easy to do. And when you go to Thrive and you sign up, deposit anywhere between $20 to $50. When you use promo code CIRCLE, Thrive will actually match that for you. So once again, go to thrivefantasy.com, promo code CIRCLE, and deposit anywhere from $50 to $20 or $20 to $50, and they will match it for you. Once again, hashtag prop up on Thrive Fantasy this season. Let's go.
Let's do it. So here's how we're going to start out. We are going to talk about, rather than doing your ads like we normally do, the post-waiver ads, this time we're going to give you those players you should be adding now to your Dynasty roster. I made up a list here. We're going to see what Ray thinks about, are these guys we should have on the end of our bench? Because these are people that I'm stashing right now in hopes that I'm picking up some gold in 2021. I don't want to be wasting a pick on a guy who's sitting on the free agent. I want to focus those on my rookies. So what I want to do in those week 14, 15, 16 ads is I want to get those guys on the end of my bench. I want to get rid of my bye week plays, and I want to get those upside guys on that bench. And the first guy that I am adding everywhere that I can is Eno Benjamin. Now, we could talk about Eno. He was a guy that, if you remember, coming out of college, people were talking about him being up in that upper echelon of running back prospects. Now, we get a little nervous when a guy falls in the draft, which he did. I mean, let's just call it what it is. He didn't exactly have the best draft day we've ever seen. He ended up, though, on a roster, and he ended up on possibly the best situation that he could have in Arizona. I think Drake has proven his time's coming to an end there. I think the 7th round pick has a chance to be a prospect. I think that Edmonds is still a guy who's going to get his, but I think there's always going to be that 1A, 1B situation. And what I'd love to see them do, rather than spending their money on, I know Chase, you've been calling Aaron Jones to that team, rather than spending a high draft pick on like an Etienne, I'd like to see them give this kid some run with Edmonds. I think that might be enough firepower, given the fact you have to respect Kyler, given the fact you have to respect those wideouts. I like this kid to be able to get some run. If they give him a chance, I think he could be a top, higher end running back too if he balls out. I like him as a stash there. What do you guys think?
It's all you, Ray, man. Like, that's why people are here. They're here to listen to you. Let's hear what you got.
Okay, so first of all, I got to respond to Taylor in the chat who asked what's in the cup. Hey, y'all know black people. Black people love Hennessy, baby. So Chase, you got to give me some better options, man. You got to give me some better options, man. I can't keep drinking Henny all the time, but I got a little bit of Henny in the cup. But when you're talking about Eno, I like Eno a lot. And being out here in Texas, he played at Wiley High School, which is probably like 20 minutes from where I live. So I remember seeing him in high school, and I really liked his character, man. After one of the games, he went off. He stayed behind and was giving autographs to kids. Like, just, he seems like a solid dude. You know what I mean? Like, you root for guys like that. Like, this is a high school kid. Everybody was off the field. He stayed behind and was signing autographs for people. When he made the 53, when he wasn't cut, when he actually made the 53, I was very encouraged. I said, man, for a 7th round pick to actually, make the active roster, that's huge. And then he got no run. Like, we're in week 10. He didn't play whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I never wish injuries upon a player, but I thought that with Kenyon Drake, first of all, how the hell did he come back from a high ankle sprain in like 2 weeks?
That could have been a high ankle sprain, right?
Yeah, there's no way, right? So when Kenyon Drake went down, I said, okay, this is the time for Eno Benjamin to really show what he can do, because I just, and I could be wrong, but Chase Edmonds to me is not a feature back in the NFL. He's a fantastic complementary piece that can give you some spot starts. Hell, I think he can give you a spot season. You know what I mean? But when we're talking about long term, I just don't see that within Chase Edmonds' range of outcomes. Eno Benjamin, I mean, he's best comparable to Duke Johnson on Player Profiler. I like Eno. He is the quintessential prospect that you want to stash away. You want to add now, get him on your roster, because I don't believe they're going to re-sign Kenyon Drake. This is the first time I heard the Aaron Jones thing, because Green Bay hasn't signed Jones yet, have they? So, and that ship has sailed. I have been saying that I believe Arizona will draft a running back. Cliff Kingsbury went in, got his quarterback. He traded for his wide receiver. I believe they're going to draft a running back. That's just my thoughts and opinions. But if they don't, you want to make sure you have Eno Benjamin. I love that call.
So yeah, I'm sitting there and I love Eno Benjamin. When he fell, like when he was at the 4th round pick, I was shocked. Right. And we start out the next day. We started day 3, and I was like, wait. We started, or when he was in a 3rd round pick, I was kind of shocked, and I was waiting for him to go in the 4th round, day 3 pick. I was like, dude, he's going to go early in this day 3, right? And I'm sitting there talking with all my buddies and all my leagues, and I was like, watch, he's not going to make it out of the late 4th round, maybe early 5th. Then he falls to the 5th round. Then he falls to the 6th round. Everybody's laughing at me because they're saying, he's going to go undrafted. He gets picked up, and I was like, dude, this is shocking to me, because this is a guy who he was doing all the right things. He was gaining weight for the Senior Bowl, and then he lost weight to help out his combine, type work. And so it was really frustrating for me to see him go there, but I was like, man, he is a good running back for that system. So maybe it could work out. Now it hasn't worked out so far. And I think a big piece to do with that, because he does not play special teams, so he can't be active each week. Am I correct on that? I'm pretty sure that he doesn't play special teams.
Yeah. The report, he struggled in that area. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can't play special teams, you're not going to get in the game as a rookie, period, the end, when it comes to these late round picks. But it's encouraging, because guess what? He's still on the roster, and he doesn't play special teams as a 6th, 7th round rookie. So I like Eno Benjamin moving forward. However, they do have a bunch. They have a bunch of cap space moving forward. And so I love Aaron Jones to actually go there as a free agent. Just because, dude, where else are they going to spend money? This free agent, class isn't going to be great anywhere outside of running back, to be honest with you. I mean, there's a few defensive players here and there at safety and cornerback, but all the free agents are over there at running back for the most part. So it's going to be a very saturated free agent class, which is going to drive down the price a little bit. But Aaron Jones is still probably going to get that top tier of money at the lower end, top tier. And I think that could be with Arizona.
I don't hate it, man. I don't hate it, you know, but to the spirit of the question, I think he's that's a type of prospect. That's the type of player you add now, right? You you get him and you wait and see. And
I already have him everywhere. So
yeah.
Yeah, so these are the plays like we talked about. You got someone on your bench you were holding on to because you needed a bye week fill-in. Benjamin's not that. We're mostly past that. Kind of sucks we're going into 13 weeks of buys, but we still have plenty of time to add that dude to the bench, get him on there. You want to take a question first, Chase? You want me to move on here?
Let's go ahead and knock out one of these questions just because Facebook, man, this is a weird start for Facebook. Normally we have like 30 questions by now. All right, so Baker Mayfield, that's Faker G, right? That's what we've established, right? Because, I mean, we literally got through like 20 different guys, so we had an idea of who this was. I think we came out with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it was Jimmy Garoppolo, we thought, for a while. We had a few guesses, and then everyone else got hurt, so it's got to be Baker.
So in a 2-quarterback league, PJ Walker looks to be the guy. And I love PJ Walker in the XFL, by the way. Like, he was, finding the guys. And by the way, Andrew Luck loves PJ Walker. Andrew Luck is the reason why PJ Walker got a job in the XFL, because his dad was the president. And he's like, hey, Dad, like, I need you to make sure this guy actually finds a spot on the roster. He needs to be rostered. So when you have the back of Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck said that PJ Walker worked harder than he did in the off seasons. So that's encouraging. I like PJ Walker a lot. I don't trust Baker Mayfield at all, no matter who he's playing or what the situation is. The past 2 weeks have been rough with the weather, but yeah.
Yeah, they've got Philly, right? Cleveland's got Philly this week. I believe that's their matchup. Yep. And then you're talking about the Panthers and the Lions. Yep. You know, I know this sounds crazy, but I think I would take the upside of what we know what Baker is. We know who Baker is. We know what he's going to – we can almost probably recite his stat line verbatim right now. We know what it's going to be. I kind of like the possibility of what PJ Walker can be, because he does have some good weapons around him. Dump off screens to Mike Davis, get the ball, quick hitting plays to DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. You have the, Robbie Henderson there. I would be rolling with PJ Walker, and I wouldn't that wouldn't be something that would scare me off his first start. I'd roll with PJ Walker.
Yeah, so I like the call. I just want to be a little careful with this one. Teddy Bridgewater sprained MCL, not guaranteed to miss the game yet. He's still listed as questionable. So while I love the call, I am going Walker. I agree. That offense is set up for a quarterback like him. Like you said, there's those cheap points you're going to get, the high efficient plays, the bubble screens, the dump offs. Davis's look like otherworldly. I love the weapons. Just make sure you're watching the injury report. Make sure that Teddy's out before you make that move, because an MCL sprain doesn't need surgery, could be played on. I'd like to see him take the week off, make sure you get healthy, but just make sure you double check that, because absolutely has not been ruled out as of yet. And last I heard, possible game time decision.
This is the shit that just blows my mind. Okay. Kenyon Drake, high ankle sprain, 2 weeks he's back. Teddy Bridgewater sprained MCL. He doesn't even miss a game. Nick Chubb was out for like the whole season. Like, I know there's variations of grades. I get it. Grade 1, grade 2, whatever. But still, this 2020, man, this is, yeah. To your point, yes, watch the report. Make sure Teddy Bridgewater is out before you roll PJ Walker out. Don't roll PJ Walker out there and Bridgewater's playing. And then
I won't have internet from now until until Sunday afternoon.
Keep those eyes out. And if we could ever find out what Bridgewater and Drake are taking that Chris Carson and Joe Mixon aren't, I would love to hear that. Man, Joe Mixon's been day to day for 7 straight weeks. That's a lot of days, man. That is a lot of days.
All right, so let's hop on to our next guy in this dynasty lineup on these, these rookies that we're looking at.
Hell yeah, next guy I got is Anthony McFarland Jr. What I love about this kid is you got that home run hitter, that outside runner, the guy that's a threat to take you to the house any play. And if you notice, what we're looking at is guys that don't really need that injury, right? As Ray said, we're not cheering for injuries here. That's not what we're going to do. This is a guy who has a chance because there hasn't been much in front of him. Connor's got about 100 yards over the last 4 games. Benny Snell is just a jag. This is a kid who I think when he gets his legs underneath him, gives him the best chance to take it to the house. He's never going to see a stacked box with that wide receiver crew. I think this is a kid who realistically could come back big in his second year. Hasn't seen a lot of run yet. They have to respect Connor as their running back one, but I think there's a home run hitter and a great offense and someone I absolutely am putting on the end of my bench any chance that I get to.
Okay. I don't disagree. Everything that you laid out is correct. 100%. Home run hitting ability. Connor hasn't been good. Snell stinks. Jalen Samuels, I don't even know if he's still on the team. I'm sure he is, but you get my drift.
Yep.
I firmly believe, I wholeheartedly believe, and I'm putting the receipts are out there now. Pittsburgh's going to draft a running back in the second round next year. Like they're going to get it back. They've already come out. They're not re-signing James Conner. Mm-hmm. They've seen what they have in Benny Snell. I believe Anthony McFarland was a 4th round pick, 3rd round pick. So not a lot invested in Anthony McFarland. They want to get back to Pittsburgh Steelers football, and none of the running backs that are currently rostered fit that mold. They're going to, I thought they were in a prime situation to take a running back last year. I think this coming draft in 2021, they're going to get their running back of the future. And I'm Babe Ruth pointing that shit to the outfields. I think Najee Harris is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. And if that happens, to the moon. I know that's a whole different conversation. To the moon, Anthony McFarland would still be a great compliment to Najee. But yes, you have to stash him, but I don't see feature back in Anthony McFarland's range of outcomes. I see a home run hitter, but I don't think he's a guy that they want to give the ball to like that. And as bad and as inefficient as James Conner has been, they still haven't felt comfortable enough to give Anthony McFarland give him a shot, right? Let's see. Give him 12 carries in a game. Let's see. But as inefficient as Conner has been, they still haven't given him that work. Yeah, what does it hurt you stashing a player like that? I wholeheartedly believe that Pittsburgh gets a guy in 2021.
That's going to be interesting to see what happens with that, because typically they don't spend high-end draft picks on, guys ever since Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is a 3rd round pick, 2nd.
I think a 2nd.
I think it was a 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, 67 sticks out to me, but I don't. That's probably not right. I don't pay a lot of attention to the Steelers overall when it comes to their draft picks because they always find guys late. So it's tough for me to memorize every single draft pick that they take. Anyways, yeah, I like McFarland, but I feel like very similar to the majority of these running backs at the tail end, anything from the 4th round on, where you just have guys that are kind of just average. And although McFarland does have the ability to break one loose, I don't know that he's elite at any level. So me personally, I still have McFarland where I could grab him, but I'm having him on my roster in hopes that, things don't click with James Robinson in the offseason and contract talks, and then he becomes the starting running back for a little bit and I can trade him away. I'm holding on to him for trade value, essentially.
He was a mid-second round, 48th pick in the 2nd round.
48th,
so,
okay, cool.
Yeah. So what I like about McFarland is exactly kind of, Chase, what you said. I think that he's going to have a boom game. I think it actually could come this year. And I think I'm moving him at that point.
Yep.
I agree with Ray. I don't love him as an every down back. I love him as a compliment back. What's up, Sean? But as well as I do, everybody digs the long runs. Everyone digs the home run hitters. Everyone wants to think. It's almost like all these fools that play golf and they hit these 3 good shots and they're like, hey, if I could do that every time, I'm Tiger Woods, right? So they're going to see McFarland pop one off and they say, man, if he can get consistent, all of a sudden I have Chris Johnson, right? Like that's who people are going to see. That's who they see with these home run hitters. And I'm always a wheeler dealer. I'm always about getting a guy for free and then flipping them as quickly as I can. So I agree. McFarland, 100%. Doesn't have the body, doesn't have the play style to be an every down back. He's not a grinder. They absolutely want that guy who's going to fall forward. They want that banger. That's not McFarland. But he's going to pop off for one of those 10 carries for 115 and 2 touches. and someone is going to see that eyes wide open.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you're getting a high second for Anthony McFarland. You make that move on, spend that plus your low first to move up and get Najee Harris, and all of a sudden you're cashing in. I love that type of move. That's how I play it, and that's what I like about McFarland, not as a long-term dynasty play.
That's the play. To me, that's the play. If he pops and he has those big long runs and he produces, I'm flipping his ass as soon as I can in dynasty. Like I'm not holding him long term. I'm not doing it.
Nope, agree 100%.
All right, who we got next?
Next up, man, a guy I can't quit. Dude can't stay healthy, but I cannot quit Jalen Hurd. I just can't. I want it for him. Like, you know how you have that guy in the NFL, you just want him to succeed? Like, I feel like I'm in the movie. Like, I just can't quit you, bro. Like, this is like when I see Ayuk do his thing, when I see Deebo Samuel do his thing, I just see Jalen Hurd. That should be you, man. If you stayed healthy, that was your game. This is a big kid. There's a strong kid. This is a versatile player that just can't stay healthy. He had the offense, had the play. I just can't get away from this guy. And he's free. And he's a free roster spot because he's on IR. Put him in your IR. Let him play the preseason. Hope for the best. But yeah, listen, everyone can shit on me for this one. I get it, but I can't quit this dude. I just can't.
Chase, I think everyone's watching the terrible NBA draft right now.
That's true. I was going into Facebook to figure out what's going on Facebook, because by now we normally have so many questions that we can't actually catch up with them, and we have to go through rapid fire for like the rest of the episode. But see, with the group, Fantasy Football Discussion, phenomenal group. Love you guys out there. When we actually like get a post, like we actually have to go live almost immediately from the point that we start our live stream, because if not, with 23,000 members, we get buried super quick. So if we sit out and we hang out for too long, we get buried. Not a lot of people see us. So I was hoping that maybe a comment over there on Facebook might actually bump it back up to the top.
There you go. Like all right. So here's my thing with Hurd, and I'm going to be very quick. If he only costs you an IR spot, hold him. If you've got other players in the IR and he actually is, I don't even think he's worth a roster spot, to be honest with you. What does he play? Where does he fit in? We've seen Brandon Ayuk. George Kittle is back. I know there was talk about him being this H-back move, tight end type deal. I mean, with Deebo Samuel, with Ayuk, with George Kittle, where does he fit, and what is he? What is Jalen Hurd? What can he become? And here's the thing that we have to remember is this is a player who, as much as we want to talk about him being a wide receiver asset at some point, he only played wide receiver for one season in college, and that was his final season at Baylor. He was a running back his entire career at Tennessee before transferring to Baylor. And that Baylor offense, I'm telling you right now, I can go catch for 500 yards right now in that Baylor offense, right now, no practice. So he not only does he have to get back into football condition as far as his injury, he's still got to learn how to play wide receiver at the NFL level, because he's only done it for a season. So if he's only going to cost you an IR spot, cool. Anything other than that, it's unfortunate, and I'm not going to shit on you for that take, because I'm still the guy that's holding out hope that N'Keal Harry could be something at some point in time. So we all have those red herrings, and it's all good, man.
I'm over here still holding the candle for Joe Reed. So,
Oh, he's coming up. He's coming up. I put him on there for you because I know how you're feeling.
Boy.
I mean, so Ray, I don't dispute anything you said. I guess when I watched the way they used Deebo, like specifically Deebo Samuel, and then when Deebo was out, they were doing with Ayuk. Like that was kind of when I originally drafted Hurd. That was like the vision I had going in my head, right? That Kyle Shanahan, those little cheap touchdown passes they're playing now in the NFL where they're just flipping it forward. It's basically a toss sweep, right? But they're giving them the touchdowns. You love those in fantasy because your quarterback did nothing. What kills me about this guy is that when I see them doing it with Deebo, I just see what I pictured with Hurd and what I thought was going to happen. But I agree now the roster is such that he's buried. The best hope you get is that they let him loose and someone else picks him up for the Deebo role. Otherwise, I agree. He's going to be worthless in that respect. But that was at least a vision I had when the draft came in.
I can see it, man. I can see it, and now The problem is you got Ayuk who does the same stuff, right?
Yep.
Like you've got Ayuk and Debo doing that. So again, if he's just an IR spot, I'm fine with it. But if he's actually sitting on your roster, he's one of the guys where I'm making a trade and I throw in Jalen Hurd. Like I just throw that in and like try to.
You're looking for me, right? You're looking for me in your league.
Right. Exactly.
Oh man, that's tough. So I'm going to skip on Jalen Hurd just because I do like him, but you guys pretty much covered everything. And I do want to bring up the guy that, I just mentioned, and that's Joe Reed. I know he's not like a major asset to any offense, and he is a developmental prospect, but I want you guys to look at something real quick. I want you guys to just check something out, and that is this player, A.J. Brown. All right, you guys see this? 6 foot, 226, 449 speed, right? We're using Player Profile over here, which is, by the way, where you can find a ton of Ray's actual content. So you guys see this, right? You guys see A.J. Brown. Now, obviously, A.J. Brown in the system that he was in had a chance to develop and actually become a prime time type receiver. But then we sit there, right? And we actually go to Joe Reed. Joe Reed over here.
Let's see this.
I can already see Ray making the adjustments on the back end to make sure this don't actually happen.
Let me hit up Matt real quick.
6'1", 224, bigger hand size, 4.47 speed. We didn't get to see his agility score, but better burst score. So essentially, he's a bigger, better version, but he went to UVA and didn't have a chance to develop, and he's not going to be anywhere near A.J. Brown. So I'm totally just, I'm kind of being a smart ass at this point. I don't think he's anywhere close to it, but he is somebody that I would like to hold on to as a developmental prospect. I love myself some Joe Reed. He led the nation in kick returns, I believe, for touchdowns, and, was a phenomenal prospect with the ball in his hands. But it's been very strange because they've been cutting him out of the offense essentially without actually cutting him out of the game essentially and cut him out of the special teams work. They're giving Hill some of those touches now. And from week to week, if they see a certain matchup that they like, they've been going to Joe Reed. But for the most part, Hill has actually taken over that roster spot. Now, with that being said, you still have a young wide receiver that's tethered to Justin Herbert. So that's why I like him and I like his potential upside, especially with the ball in his hands. But I do... moving forward, he's a guy that if I have a team that has that open spot, that has a roster clog on there, somebody like maybe a Danny Amendola or something like that, I'm dropping him off in order to at least take a shot on this prospect.
You know what, Chase? I'm not going to shit on this too much because
too much.
because
I'm ready for it.
Right. No, you're right, though. He's a young wide receiver who was drafted in the 5th round, top of the 5th round. He's got the size. He has the athleticism. What his snap share tells me is he just hadn't figured out the wide receiver position yet, all right? And there are players like Jalen Guyton who's out there playing. There's some other player, number 83. I don't even know who the hell he is. Don't even know his last name. Johnson? Something Johnson, right? Something Johnson. Mike Williams. No. Tyron Johnson?
That might be it, yeah. It's
Tyron
like
Johnson.
Ty Johnson for short or something like that. Yeah.
So, and here's the thing with receivers, right? When we're talking about these running backs, there's like one guy, maybe two that actually carry the ball in an NFL game. You might get a third running back that gets a touch here and there, but NFL based offenses, 3 wide receivers, 4 wide. There's a higher probability that this guy gets on the field at some point here. If it doesn't happen in 2021, you probably could cut bait, right? If it doesn't happen in 2021 for Joe Reed, at least in Los Angeles, it's probably not going to happen. But I don't know what Mike Williams' contract situation is like. I don't know what Guyton and Ty Johnson, what those situations look like. So he is somebody that I'm still intrigued by because in the limited Virginia tape that I watched, I did like his skill set. And you can't teach 6'1", 225 and a 4.4 40-yard dash. You can't teach that. So I don't hate this one. I don't hate it.
Yeah, and he's a long shot. Like I said, it's somebody where if you have an empty bench spot, you have a roster clog out there on your roster, go for it. Like, it's that opportunity that could end up paying off, especially tethered to a brand new quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna be cool with this take because someone who's also 6 feet 225 that Chase believes in. I love the respect that he gives people like us. I'm also not AJ Brown, nor is Joe Reed. But yeah, no, I think again, deep ads and we're talking here is 30, 35-man rosters, you're looking for somebody who might pop as opposed to someone sucks, right? Could Joe Reed develop? Possibly. Deep stash, and as much as it pains me to say it, if I had room for only one, I'm taking him over Hurd. So I will give you that portion of it.
I'll take that.
All right,
now,
so now
let's go. Let's go to one of the only guys that's actually going to be on this roster for the Lions, right?
Yep. So here's a guy we're taking over all of them, which is Quintez Cephas. Right now with Jones Jr., Amendola, Galladay, all impending free agents. Cephas is the guy who we know is going to be on the Lions next year. He's going to have that efficiency. Popped right out of the gate with 10 targets first game. This kid's a player, and I love the fact that he could take over that Jones role next to Galladay, who I do think they're going to bring back despite his health issues. I like him as a potential wide receiver too, who's going way too cheap at this point.
Yeah, him and Geronimo Allison are the only two that are actually on the roster as of right now, or that will be in 2021 as of right now. Ray, how you feeling about Quintez, man?
Yeah, no, he didn't test well at all. 4.7 40-yard dash is not good, but I liked him. I liked his tape at Wisconsin. I really thought he was a good player. I thought he was physical at the catch point. And when he landed in Detroit, I said he might have a shot. Like, I thought he had a shot to actually produce something, not be a consistent fantasy scorer, but produce in NFL standards, have a decent season. Hasn't clicked so far. I know he had a big week 1, I believe, where he had a ton of targets and performed well. But I do like Cephas because, like you said, Jones and Galladay's coming back, but Danny Amendola, I think we might see a shift with the Detroit Lions to focus more on TJ Hockenson, Galladay, and DeAndre Swift, and move on from some of these other guys. So I like Cephas, man. Of all the players that we discuss, he's the one, although the worst prospect profile as far as athleticism is concerned, he's the one that I'm most confident that will actually get a shot. Here's my thing. I always say I'm looking for players who have an opportunity to get an opportunity to score me fantasy points. That's all I'm really looking for, right? Like, there's no point in me taking, and I'm just, God, I promise you I'm not trying to be hot takey or divisive right here, but I'm not burning a roster spot picking up Colin Kaepernick. Like, that, he's not going to get an opportunity to have an opportunity to score me fantasy points. And people did that. People were picking up players like Colin Kaepernick and Dez Bryant and shit like that. Like, no,
the Dez
man.
Bryant thing drove me nuts.
Like it's just, listen, hell may freeze over. I'm watching Alfred Morris and Kalen Ballage get carries right now. So maybe Kaepernick comes back and he's the quarterback next year. But I feel a lot more confident in Quintez Cephas actually getting an opportunity to score me fantasy points.
Yeah, I actually love Quintez Cephas moving forward. He needs some time to develop. He also has to improve his physical traits, his speed in particular, which you brought up. But yeah, it's something as to where, they're going to end up drafting another wide receiver, and we're going to go over that here in a little bit. But Quintez Cephas should be at least the number 2 in that offense, not number 3, All right, Mike, who we got next?
Next, we're actually going in the opposite direction. We're going with the speedster who hasn't shown it yet, in Devin Duvernay. Realistically, a guy who is not exactly in the most high-profile passing offense this year. Lamar struggling to throw the ball. But this is a kid who has flashed. He has all the metrics that you're looking for. I mean, he is a fast man. We love those guys that pop. And again, like Ray said, has opportunity. I mean, you're talking about very little in front of him in terms of pass catchers. I think he has a chance to get those targets, and he's one of those threats to take it to the house. A little undersized. I mean, let's just call it what it is. This dude's 5'11", 200 pounds. That's not exactly prototype for an NFL receiver right now, but he can scoot. He's going to be a guy who's probably going to be more of that like D-Jax type. If he hits, he's going to do it on a small amount of targets, just hitting those deep balls. But here's a kid who can fly, who can be the home run hitter in an offense with very little above him. So I like having him as a stash because I think, again, a guy who could pop, and you have truthers in your league, get him to pop, and you are going to get a payout on this guy in a trade higher than you paid for him without question, in my opinion.
So with me, like the Baltimore Ravens, ever since last year, all they've been doing is drafting speed. Miles Boykin, Justice Hill. It was just speed guy after speed guy after speed guy after speed guy after speed guy. essentially you have to actually have some skills that are able to be developed outside of speed, but at least they're trying, they're taking their lottery shots, they're taking their dart throws. Now, the good thing with Duvernay is the fact that they've actually, or he's actually not just a speed guy. He can be used in the backfield. He has some agility traits as well. And, he's somebody that actually has a little bit of power behind him, even with his relatively small size, or small stature. So it's something as to where, like, he could be more than just a speed guy. Ray, is he somebody more than just a speed guy, or what do you think of Duvernay?
Yes. Big play Duvernay. Talked about him a lot last year out of Texas. Led the country in receptions last season with Sam Ehlinger at quarterback. Big time Duvernay fan. And I believe that if Baltimore would actually use these wide receivers, well, maybe it's not Baltimore, maybe it's Lamar Jackson, but I believe he's a more capable wide receiver than Hollywood Brown. Like, this guy will go over the middle. He can win outside. He's not just a speed guy. If you look at, I believe, his yards per route run, according to PFF last year, I mean, he wasn't going down the field a lot. It was a lot of short stuff. He could get down the field. He does have legitimate home run speed, but he's, even though he doesn't have the prototypical height, he's 200 pounds, whereas Hollywood Brown gained 20 to get to 180, and that's he's really at 180. The bigger issue is just the lack of volume in that passing attack. I believe they've been bottom 30 the past 2 seasons, even though Lamar Jackson was efficient as all outdoors last year. They just don't throw the ball a lot. And when he does throw the ball, he's overthrowing receivers deep right now. You could bet on, between the tight ends and fullbacks, they're getting 10 targets of his 24 passes a game. So how much is really left for these wide receivers? I'm a big Devin Duvernay fan. I believe that he could be a capable weapon for them. The issue is just it's Lamar, and it's the pass volume of that offense.
I like it. It's something that's where I'm stashing Duvernay everywhere in hopes that Lamar picks up his accuracy issues.
All right. So, Ray, you're going to get to my favorite part of the show, which is I have no idea how to pronounce anyone's name in football.
Oh, God.
So, as Chase knows, I throw names out there and just butcher them.
Go ahead and butcher this.
I love it. We have Cole Kmet and Adam Troutman as the 2 tight ends.
That wasn't even a hard one, by the way.
I still, you know me, I throw it out there.
What's the tight end from the Broncos name, the rookie that just got hurt? What's his name? Pronounce that one.
Albert Ogunbowale.
No,
I went down right. Shit. Albert O. Aguabunum. So here's the thing, right? When we talk about these 2 rookie tight ends are legitimately the easiest steal you can have in any dynasty roster. Rookie tight ends are the ones you can steal. Without question, everybody gets frustrated. They did it with Hawk. They did it with Fant. They've literally done it for years, all the way back to every tight end I can think of, but Rob Gronkowski has been a steal after their rookie year. These guys are going to be target hogs. They are talented. They have high draft capital. These teams put a lot of faith in them, and specifically with Troutman and a great offense. Grab them for cheap. Get them ready, because rookie tight ends don't produce. Second year is usually a boom for them. I want both of them on my roster.
I don't really know what to add. I mean, yes. I mean, that's the name of the game. And I know this 2021 class is good at the tight end position, like really good. There are some players that I believe the time they hear their name called, they're top 8 dynasty tight ends immediately. I still don't know, outside of a heavy tight end premium league, if I would draft one of them with premium draft capital in a rookie draft for dynasty, because it's just you could wait till later. Like I think that's not a good. I don't know, man. I go back and forth. There's one guy that I think is worth it, but I just don't know if I could do it, because you can get players like Cole Kmet, who is going to be the starting tight end moving forward for Chicago. Mm-hmm. And Chicago's probably going to upgrade the quarterback position, hopefully this offseason.
Oh, man,
Adam Troutman is going to be the starting tight end for the New Orleans Saints. We know that. And if you're telling me that I can acquire a starting tight end in Dynasty for what does it cost you to get Kmet right now? Third? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure. That perfect. I mean, that's literally, I before Mark Andrews became Mark Andrews, I traded a 3rd round pick for him in December. And I had him. I was just like, it's going to happen. And it happened. So, yeah, nothing much to add to that when you grab those guys after their failed rookie seasons.
Yeah, it's something I swear, like Adam Troutman. It's actually, he's been, I believe led the team in snaps 2 weeks so far this season and beat out Cook 4 times total. 1 was due to injuries, but he's actually beat out Jerry Cook for 4 different times this season. So I love Adam Troutman. He actually had one of the best agility scores overall in the combine in NFL history for the tight end position. He's going to be special, man. These tight ends that can move in short spaces, they're fire. I absolutely love Troutman moving forward. And don't forget, like, he was what was he, a quarterback turned wide receiver, or wide receiver turned quarterback?
Wide receiver turned, yep.
And then turned tight end. So
yeah. I throw Harrison Bryant in this mix as well. Harrison Bryant, I know, Cleveland, he's had some flashing moments. And I would even throw Hunter Bryant from Detroit in there, just as, he's somebody. I don't know what happened. I mean, he was tight end 1 for a lot of people for a long time.
Well, he landed behind Hawk,
Yeah, and Hawk hasn't been the model of health. So I think a player like Hunter Bryant, it's not going to happen in 2020. Don't get him in redraft. Do not do that. But he would probably literally cost you a 4th round pick. You probably can get.
He's probably a free agent right now. Like, he's probably a free agent.
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead.
I have him.
Yeah, same. I have him on my deep rosters, no question.
Let's go ahead and answer a question. Then we got to hop into the rapid fires. And yeah, we're now just through our first segment, and it's 45 minutes in. So here we go. All right. So off topic, would you trade James Robinson for Tom Brady and DeAndre Swift? I'm guessing this is redraft, but let's go ahead and answer it for both. But we're assuming this is redraft just because Facebook's normally redraft. For me, if it's redraft, I'm taking James Robinson. If not, if it's Dynasty, I'm taking DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift's my favorite running back out of this class. He has been, the whole entire time, but he's still going to be splitting snaps. So it's something as redraft. I'd rather have the safe option that I know is the only option in this backfield. And meanwhile, you can replace Tom Brady pretty easily. What do you guys say?
Spot on. I mean, redraft, give me James Robinson. Dynasty, I want DeAndre Swift. He's not splitting work. James Robinson will not split. He is the guy this season, period.
Yep.
He's the guy in the passing game, in the running game. I mean, he's averaging, I believe, 5 targets a game out of the backfield. Yes, 2020 this season, you want James Robinson. And this is a trap that I believe in redraft, a lot of fantasy gamers fall into that trap. Yes, he had a blow-up game. Still 70% snap share, was still, Adrian Peterson is still involved. We don't like it. Nobody likes it. But James Robinson has 0 competition. So unless your quarterbacks were Gardner Minshew, Dak Prescott, and they're all hurt, then you stay with James Robinson.
Mike is going through some pain right now.
It hurts me. Because if you follow me on Twitter, DeAndre Swift is like, literally there's like my children, DeAndre Swift, my girlfriend, and I hope she's not watching because that's going to get me some trouble. But that's kind of where I rate them in terms of how I love people. Unless the super flex, you're going James Robinson. And if it's Dynasty, you are literally smashing, except on the DeAndre Swift side, because he will be a first-round startup pick by the beginning of your draft next year. I've been calling that since
6.
August. Oh, no question. And you've seen, Chase, I know you've seen the tweets. I've been calling that since August. They said he went to Detroit. Oh, he went to Detroit. I don't care. This guy was talented as hell. He will be a first-round startup pick next year without question. In Dynasty, I've given up James Robinson. I'm giving up Allen Robinson. I'm giving up any other Robinson I could think of in a package deal to get DeAndre Swift because he's the guy you want long-term. But for this year, James Robinson's your guy.
Are y'all trying to intentionally hurt me? Like, are you trying to rip my heart out like Indiana Jones? Just rip that shit out, because I've been tweeting about this and talking about this for a week. D Swift at Ray GQ, DeAndre Swift in the search bar was my running back one for 2 years. For 2 years.
I love Swift.
And in February, I tweeted it out and I said, it pains me, but I'm going to move Jonathan Taylor ahead of DeAndre Swift.
I did the same thing after the combine. I waited till after the combine, and I did it after the combine.
Chase, it got worse.
I'm sorry, I did it after the draft.
Hold on. I want to hear how it got worse.
It got worse because the draft happened.
Don't tell me CEH.
I moved him below Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I moved him below Cam Akers. I moved him below. Look, I'm being vulnerable. Dude,
I like your honesty.
He went from RB1 to RB5, and I'm killing myself for it right now. And I've learned and a lot of that was the echo chamber of Twitter and listening to all these people. And like the tweets are out there. I didn't give a shit what anybody was saying. It's D Swift. It's Swift. It's Swift. It's Swift. Then the combine hits. Then the draft hits. And I moved them from 1 to 5. And I'm in a dynasty startup right now. And today I got D Swift at 301. He was the first,
holy shit.
The first rookie running back off of the board. I mean, 301.
That's late though, man.
I went Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, and DeAndre Swift were my first 3 picks.
So we're going super flex on that, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
correct.
Perfect.
Super flex.
Okay, that makes more sense. So with me and my whole entire Swift love affair, I did a bunch of back-end research, right? And so I couldn't bump Swift that far down, but let me see if I can blow your mind real quick, Ray. The Lions, in the history of the franchise, I believe it's 40 years or so, they've drafted 2 running backs in the first 4 rounds only 4 times. In the history, 2 of those 4 times have come in the last 4 years. So, with that being said, they're actually rebuilding this offensive line, and they're adding assets and young assets to the offensive line in hopes to build it from the ground up. So that's the only reason why I couldn't bump Swift down, is because the mentality was to build the trenches, and that's something that the Lions have never done. And, this regime, at least, and this regime's failed epically, they're at least making the right moves in order to kind of change the culture. Now, with the injury issues to Matthew Stafford, with the whole issues with Darius Slay and how the coaching staff hasn't really gone along with the players, it's completely kind of imploded itself. But at least they've made an effort to go the right direction, and it's kind of proven itself to the efficiency when Stafford's in. All right.
Do we have any questions queued up?
No. This is so weird. This is the weirdest episode ever.
All right. So you ready, Ray? We're going to do trash or stash. We're going to talk about taxi squad players. Now, we're looking deep on this one. We're talking 30, 35-man rosters, people that you put on your taxi squad. You go 1 year, right? And then you got to either bring them up or get rid of them. I'm going to give you some names that I have seen stashed on taxi squads. And I want to hear if you're cashing them out, stashing them. What are we doing? Are we dumping these guys? You ready? We're going to go fast on these. If you wanted to dive deep, go ahead. Otherwise, just give me the one-word answer. Jake Fromm.
Trash.
Jacob Eason.
Trash.
Jordan Love.
Stash.
Jason Huntley.
Stash.
Ooh,
JJ Taylor.
I want to know why he's stashing Jason Huntley. Just quick.
I don't think AP is there, and I'm not sure what Kerryon Johnson's contract situation is like, but I don't believe Kerryon is there for the long term, and his prospect profile, I could see him being a complimentary piece, a la not Austin Eckler, but develop a role similar to how Eckler was able to carve out a role in San Diego or Los Angeles, whatever it was at the time. But I do think he's worth a stash. I've got Huntley stashed at a couple of places.
Okay, cool.
So Huntley is currently on Philadelphia. He was cut from Detroit, cut from their practice squad. He's now on Philly, what scares me a little bit. He's behind Sanders and Boston Scott, similar type players.
Thought he was still in Detroit. Trash.
Good. Now we're back on track. Here we go. JJ Taylor.
I like him, but no, he's trash. Sorry.
Too small. I like it. Isaiah Coulter.
I like him, but no, trash.
Ooh, wait. Trash on Isaiah Coulter.
No, JJ Taylor.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
JJ Taylor.
All right. Isaiah Coulter. Houston.
Yes. Stash Houston.
I was shocked. I thought you
stash. Absolutely. Stash him in Houston. I think that hopefully a new coach with a more creative mind comes in, gets rid of some of those. Watson needs some help. So I do believe he is a stash. JJ Taylor was the trash.
Got it.
Sorry, JJ.
Colin Johnson.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Stash.
Thank you. You did miss
Not-
one, by the way, but oh my God, I love Colin Johnson.
Colin Johnson is not even just this like I need him now. Like I tried to I tried to include him in a trade. They are going to upgrade their quarterback. And I know, Chase, we had this talk about Jacksonville on the open bar. They're going to upgrade their quarterback. And it's looking like if it stays status quo, if we go chalk, it's going to be Justin Fields. And I want all the weapons I can get in Jacksonville. Colin Johnson has looked good in limited opportunity so far. I'm a fan.
And they're actually calling plays for him, but they're option plays. You know how this whole entire league is moving more towards option offenses, right? Where, hey, if the tight end goes this way, the wide receiver goes this way, if the safety covers underneath, whatever the case is, you go to the one where the read is. Yeah. So Colin Johnson actually has had multiple opportunities as to where that play has been there. But unfortunately, the defenders actually go towards his way instead of go towards the tight end because, they're so worried about him in the red zone. So eventually these plays are going to break. And this upgraded quarterback is going to end up, offering that upside. He's going to make better reads. So Colin Johnson is not only a red zone threat, he's actually a threat anywhere in between, from the 40-yard line up into the red zone. Just because he's so massive, you can find him all the way downfield. So I love Colin Johnson.
He'd be my number one. Like if this were a priority, Superflex, it'd be Jordan Love. He was a first-round pick. We haven't seen him play, so you gotta bet on that, right? But Colin Johnson would be like number one for me of these players if I'm stashing them. I really like what he could become. I'm a fan.
Love it. All right, Quez Watkins.
Yeah, stash him. D-Jax is gone. Jeffrey's gone.
Hightower hasn't done shit.
Yeah, Hightower's dropping passes. Arcega-Whiteside stinks. We don't know what Zach Ertz is. Yeah, you stash another speedster. I mean, I had an interesting conversation with somebody today, and they believe that Philadelphia is really trying to mimic what Baltimore did with Lamar Jackson and surrounding that offense with these speed stock type wide receivers.
It makes sense.
In the hot take, and I'm not going to put his name out there. I'll let him put this on Twitter himself. Is that Carson Wentz is traded to the Indianapolis Colts and Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback. And they build that offense. They build that offense similar to how Baltimore did with Lamar. And I think that Jalen Hurts is a little better passer than Lamar Jackson, especially on the deep balls.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's not as explosive as a runner. Nobody is. He's not that, but he's more than capable. And I believe Philly wanted Carson Wentz to succeed. I know I'm going off topic here. I really think that they wanted him to succeed. I understand the arguments or the excuses about the offensive line, but Carson has made boneheaded play after throwing across the field, taking unnecessary sacks. Like he looks like he's regressed so much from that Super Bowl season where he was looking like the MVP. I just don't know if he's long for the wear. So I think Quez Watkins is a stash. Absolutely. Sorry.
Well, that's what happens too. Just side note, that's what happens when you get sick of losing, but you can't do anything about it. Is you just, you make boneheaded plays because you're just like tired of fucking losing and you just want to throw it all away.
Yeah.
All right, before we move to the tight ends, Bob's asking about John Hightower. I am out on Hightower. I don't like what I see. I don't like the hands. I'm just not a fan. What do you guys think?
Same.
I liked Quez Watkins more than I liked Hightower coming into 2020 with the rookies. Like if there was a draft, I would draft Quez Watkins over Hightower. I might have drafted. I would probably trade back actually. Like from 4th round into 5th round type thing, and try and acquire more picks for 2021, and then grab Quez Watkins. But yeah, I still had Quez Watkins ahead of Hightower.
Same.
And then we talked about the high end tight ends. Let's go to some of the lower ones. Bryson Hopkins over on the Rams.
Got to Gerald Everett. Yeah, you got. I mean, it's the same argument we just made a couple of minutes ago. You get that guy, and he was drafted with, I believe, he had decent draft capital, right? Bryson Hopkins, I believe, he was a 3rd round pick or
3rd or 4th. Yeah, I mean, he was
3rd or 4th round pick.
Yeah, he was up there.
Yeah. You stash him. Absolutely. And the other two guys. And hell, I'm starting Dalton Schultz in the league this week. So yeah.
And that's what I'm looking at. Asiasi and Dalton Schultz. I'm a Pats fan. I don't even know which one is their best. I've been disappointed as hell that I haven't seen them on the field. The fact they're playing Izzo drives me nuts, right?
I
Nuts.
literally thought about that did they play Monday night, Sunday night?
Uh-huh.
I was like, what happened? I was going to tweet it out, but I didn't feel like hearing from Pats fans. But what happened to the whole Asiasi's going to be starting tight end deal? Is he hurt?
He's hurt. Both him and Dalton
Asiasi's hurt, but yeah, I put Schultz on the sheet, meant Keen. Keen, though, I thought was healthy. I thought he was back. I thought he was practicing.
He's on IR, I'm pretty sure.
Is he? They're just either way. They're not giving anybody. They didn't give him a shot at the beginning. They've been going with Izzo, who's just not a thing. He's not a player, right? And I agree with you, Ray. Pats fans in general, we suck as a collective. But as me personally, I try to be kind of pretty normal about shit, right? But you spent draft capital on 2 tight ends, and even before they were hurt, you didn't let them see the field on an offense that's supposed to support the tight end. I mean, supported 2 tight ends. Josh McDaniels' offense, that's what it does. And they never got a snap. And it's been infuriating because we've needed weapons. We've been begging for weapons on that team, and they never even gave them some run. And that was the same. When you look at what they did, what Belichick does with rookies, you look at what he did. He buried Jacoby Myers. He buried Damian Harris. He has been red-shirting people for years. And Brady's been hiding the fact that we are not capitalizing in New England on draft picks, and he's doing it again at the tight end position. And it's driving me absolutely nuts. Yeah,
Dalton Keen's been injured since week 7, and on, the 10th of November, they put him on IR because they realized he wasn't going to be coming back. So they actually signed a player off of somebody else's practice squad. Anyways, he actually did pass the concussion protocol or whatever it was from what I remember, but he only got to practice for like a day. Mm-hmm. So Izzo was the only healthy tight end on their active roster this past weekend. So yeah, both those guys have been, dealing with injuries. So it's something as to where we have to wait. And typically the Patriots do like to develop their guys prior to just throwing them out there because they hate mistakes. I just found this out recently. If a player reaches the ball out for the New England Patriots in an attempt to score, they get benched. And I didn't realize it. And then I watched a game and I saw earlier in the season, and I believe it was Harris reached out, did not get it, didn't fumble, didn't get it, but he didn't get a single snap after that.
What?
Yep. Saw, didn't believe it. Watched the game, front to back. Saw, I believe it was Damian Harris. It might have been, I don't think it was James White because James White would know better. I'm pretty sure it was Damian Harris. He went to go reach out. He didn't get it. He didn't have a single snap the rest of the game. Now, that could have been coincidence, but somebody actually reported that on, I want to say the NFL Network or something like that I was listening to, and I was like, dude, that sounds like a crock of shit. But it wasn't. It was actually real. That actually happened.
That's the petty shit we've been dealing with for years up here, man. And I'll tell you what, if you look at even the Tennessee playoff game last year, right? N'Keal Harry showed why you drafted him in the first round. That play where even the review, they screwed up. The dude never stepped out of bounds. He absolutely beasted the ball into the end zone. A play that was going to turn that game around. He got outside. He busted through the cornerback. They said his heel stepped out of bounds. Never did. Reached for the end zone. Stuck the ball inside the pylon. Literally everything you were hoping for. It was the play, right? It was the friggin' play that you wanted when you drafted N'Keal Harry. This is what he does. He wasn't a speedster.
He
wasn't a deep guy. That was it. And legitimately,
I told you that was so weird. I blew my mind. I didn't realize that was a thing in New England. I had no idea.
Oh, the things
it's been a thing for 20 years.
The things that happen up here is beyond amazing. Brady will go back to the sidelines and say, this guy ran the wrong road. And you literally don't see him again, right? They have these rules that I think, and the problem is with rebuilding in New England is the game is passing this regime by.
Yep.
These kids now, they've been growing up with participation trophies, and Belichick's trying to do this hard-ass thing. They're not drafting athletes. They're trying to draft the smart guys, which is what leads you to Jordan Richards in the second round. These types of mistakes they've made year over year is because they try to eliminate mistakes, and what they're eliminating is the athleticism and the players that make plays, those heart plays that you want to get. That's what leads them to these middle-of-the-road guys. Chase Winovich made one mistake. The most efficient pass rusher. I know I'm getting off topic here, but I'm kind of heated because I'm passionate about this particular instance. Chase Winovich was the most efficient pass rusher in the NFL as a rookie. He shot a gap he wasn't supposed to. Gone for like 3 games. They bring him back again as an off-the-ball linebacker, and he is in Lamar Jackson's shirt the whole damn game. But they didn't give him a chance 3 games in. Drop the Patriots in close games. That could have been the difference between wins and losses to prove a point. And it gets to the point where it gets infuriating. And that's why you see a lot of guys leaving. That's why you see a lot of guys talking shit after the fact. And a lot of people thriving when they leave the system because they're able to actually take off and do their thing where they're not allowed to in this system.
Man, I'm a Washington fan. Shut the hell up. Like, you've been winning for 20 years and you're talking about infuriating shit that has won them fucking 20 years in a row. And you're talking about infuriating things that a franchise does, that a successful franchise does. Like, come on, man. Like,
come on. These spoiled, entitled asshole Patriot fans infuriated.
Infuriated. He pulled a player out because he didn't score. Man, we go games without touchdowns. We go half seasons without touchdowns over here.
Dude, I'm a Cowboys fan. Enough said, man. I'm a Cowboys fan. Come on, man.
You want to know infuriated? Get that guy.
Yeah. All I wanted to do is I wanted to get my violin out while he was going through that damn rant and just
that was a solid rant. Y'all want to have that was a solid fucking rant.
Good grief.
That was solid and you know it.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh, that was funny actually. That quote that he said that Bill Belichick said. Did you guys see that?
No, what?
So it was a press conference after a game, and somebody brought up his losing record or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the question was, but he's like, I've seen a lot worse records in the last 20 years. like straight up, that's all he said. He's like, next question.
That's
a lot worse record.
Let me say this real quick, and I'm obsessed for whatever reason with Mike Krzyzewski, the coach of Duke. I'm obsessed with him. Like, I've got all the books, and in one of his books, he talks about coaches and the messages falling upon deaf ears, and there has to be a change, right? And he says the reason why he loved college is you get new players in every 4 years, every year. Yeah, you get a whole new group in, so he can continue to spew the same message, and it's not falling on deaf ears. But like you said, to the Patriots' point, I mean, a lot of those guys leave, and they say it just wasn't fun anymore. And you know, once even in life, man, I think there's a bigger principle to that. Like, if there comes a point in time where you dread going into work, like it's not even worth it. Like, you know, you get a paycheck and you're like, fuck this. It's just not worth it. Like, you know, like here's the thing, man. Like, we sit back on our couch and we analyze these players and their productivity and their health, but these dudes are real fucking people, man. Like, they have real stuff going on. They've got feelings. They've got emotions. They get tired. They don't want to do it anymore. And if you've got this same old school ass coach that winning, it's the Patriot way, dude, these kids were like, they're born in year 2000. Like, literally, they were born in 2000. That means nothing to them. Like, you have to be able to adjust with the times, and the coaches who are able to do that, the better, man. Like, that old school way, it just, these new age kids, like some of these dudes have literally were born in 2001. Like,
God, stop, dude. You're making me feel old as shit. Can you stop, man?
Well, we are.
Dude, Cliff Kingsbury's over there giving text message breaks in the middle of meetings.
Why don't you go post on Instagram about how practice is going, and then come back and hit me up, right?
How good would it be to be Cliff or Sean McVay, man?
Oh,
like, what have I done wrong in life to where this is what it boils down to. StreamYard, like this is the
best we can do, bro.
I'm not gonna lie though. Like, I'd be probably acting like Bill Belichick. Like, yo, what are y'all doing on your phones? Meanwhile, I have like tweets going off in my pocket. Like, I'm not on my phone.
You got your fleet going, your fleet video.
Oh god.
Yeah, yo, if you're on your phone and I'm retweeting my shit, you better get back to practice. You know that shit was fire.
That's exactly what I'd be saying.
I'd be like, fuck this. I'm not following Coach Chase.
Coach is done. Blocked and reported.
What are you talking about? You did have Twitter 5 minutes ago. You blocked me. All right. So what's up with this next section? What we got rolling?
So next section's deep, but let's try to go through it pretty quick, right? Let's talk about some positions that we're looking at for rookies to take over in 2021, and if you have a prospect in mind you think best fits that offense. So we're talking about right now is somebody who's not stable in their spot, probably going to lose it. And the reason why we want to cover this is twofold. Who should be looking at in the draft in the NFL if they get picked up by a team that has instant opportunity? And on top of that, who is potentially on your roster right now that is in jeopardy of being straight garbage by next year?
Very similar. The reason why I wanted to cover this topic is because we saw this with the Denver Broncos last season. We saw Tim Patrick. We saw Deshaun Hamilton. And both those guys were pretty much going – I mean, Tim Patrick benefited from the injury, obviously. But both those guys are going to end up being trash, most likely, come this season. So we want to try and get these off of people's rosters, before it's too late and able to acquire some of this younger talent. So let's go ahead and let's bring up the quarterback position. Mike, who's your first team that you have?
Jets. Man, Sam Darnold's done. It's not the fit for him. It's not the offense. I'm not even sure it's his fault. And honestly, I like to see where he's going to land. You brought up Indy as a trade for potentially for Carson Wentz, Ray. I like that take, but man, I was hoping that was going to be a Darnold spot, to be honest.
I like that spot for Darnold a lot.
I would love it. But the Jets are going quarterback. I think it's going to be without Gase. I have been literally reusing this tweet like a champion of Gase celebrating wins that the rest of the organization never wants to see because he ain't going to be there anyway. But the Jets are my number one landing spot for a quarterback. At this point, it looks like it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. It looks like it's going to be the first overall pick. But I don't think there's a chance that Sam Darnold sees another day as the Jets starter at the end of this year.
I do want to bring up real quick my look because I want to hear Ray's on this and I don't want him to have to double up on a take. So I actually believe wholeheartedly that the Jets end up, finishing up with the number one overall pick, right? Meanwhile, I think that Dallas finishes with the top 3 to top 5. Ray, did we go over this on the Open Bar podcast?
No, we didn't.
All right, so I believe that the Cowboys finished up with a bottom 3 to bottom 5 pick. Meanwhile, they could do a sign and trade with Denver or with Indianapolis for Dak Prescott. All right. Obviously, Dak would have to sign, but if he doesn't sign, he's pretty much out for the next year as well. I think that Dak wants to play, and I think that Dak would be great in Denver. Meanwhile, we have John Elway on the hot seat over there. So he's going to want to find a veteran that can win with this team. They can trade Dak for probably 2 first-round picks, or at least a first and a second. Meanwhile, that could allow them to trade up like 3 spots just in case, we'll say the Jets want to move up and grab or want to move back and grab what's his name? Sewell?
Penny Sewell.
Yeah, or multiple different options, right? I know that they just drafted Becton, but there's other options as well. Anyways, if the Jets decided to jump back a few spots, right, pick up 2 or 3 first-round overall picks over the next few years and maybe a second-round pick, something along those lines. Meanwhile, Dallas could actually draft Trevor Lawrence. So Sam Bradford being set up behind a solid offensive line with decent receivers that could be healthy.
Oh, and Sam Darnold. Don't put Sam Bradford back there. The dude's got no.
Oh, did I say Sam Bradford? I'm sorry. Yeah. Sam Darnold. I apologize. Sam Darnold. I was trying to remember everything that I've said in the past over this. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold gets another year behind this Jets revamped offensive line, or maybe even better receiving corps, or who knows? Who knows what happens over there? But Sam Darnold gets another chance. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence ends up with Dallas. So, with that being said, who do you think is the best quarterback overall for the Jets? Where do the Jets go? And do you think it's actually possible that Trevor Lawrence could end up with your baby, the Dallas Cowboys?
Listen, man, I appreciate the argument that you like what you said makes sense. Dallas is going to re-sign Dak. They're not going to trade him. I just don't think that's going to happen. Like being out here listening to Dallas radio, sports talk radio, which is horrible every day.
I can only imagine. You actually listen to that?
I actually listen to it because it's this Dak thing, man. I don't think. I think Dak is. I know this sounds crazy. Him not being there is not good. But I think it's helped his case to be
100%.
Like it's helped his case. I mean, this team looks. The fact that he still has more passing yards than Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, there's like 5 other quarterbacks that he still has more. Like I don't think he's going anywhere. The answer to this question is if the Jets pass on Trevor Lawrence, I think that is a a franchise crippling move. Like, you can't pass on this guy. And I don't say this lightly. I truly believe he's the best quarterback prospect that we've seen since Peyton Manning. I think he's a better quarterback prospect than Andrew Luck. He's a better quarterback prospect than any of the guys that we've seen over the past couple of years. In New York, you cannot pass on that guy. You can't pass on that guy. You cannot do it. The argument and the rationale for trading down, acquiring more picks, and still landing a good quarterback makes sense. They can't pass on Trevor Lawrence. And I think drafting of Mekhi Becton was bigger than just for Sam Darnold. I think they wanted to go ahead and get a left tackle in there for the future. They got Denzel Mims there. I just think it's all set up for them to invest in Trevor Lawrence. Like, you can't pass that guy up.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I like
Are you saying that you would rather have Dak Prescott over Trevor Lawrence? I'm just curious. Come on, you can't say that. You cannot say that you would rather have Dak over Trevor Lawrence.
No, but why start over, man? He's still a rookie quarterback. Like, Dallas has waited so long.
Because you have a very young team, and Amari Cooper could be cut, and you can rebuild the defense, and you can actually start fresh in a division that has no idea where they're going. Like, the Giants have the best, I guess, navigation right now as to where they should be going, and that's embarrassing for the NFC East. Right?
If Dallas has an opportunity to draft T-Law, their best bet, if I were running that franchise, I would trade that pick for a king's ransom. I would trade it I would draft Sewell, the lineman. Dak is still 27 years old, 28 years old. He's still he's still got 9 years left.
He's old. He needs to retire.
Chase,
my God.
We have a guest not here to push your narrative, but to actually answer the question. The man has done that. He has answered the question for you.
But I get it.
He's tilting.
No, because you asked the question in a way that I didn't want you to ask it. Like,
okay.
like, screw you.
I like it. All right, so before this gets ugly, Jacksonville Jaguars are next on our list of teams in search of a quarterback. Who are we looking for? I know you mentioned Fields earlier. Is that our guy for Jacksonville?
Fields.
Yeah. So I admit, I was hoping that Lawrence was going to land there. I was hoping to see him start out with a good amount of weapons. As much as I like Mims, I do prefer the Jacksonville weapons. Whoever goes there is going to be the quarterback one for me for that rookie year. Next I have on the list is the Patriots. I don't think Newton's coming back. I don't think Stidham's the guy. Who are we looking for the Patriots? It's going to be a mid-round pick. It's probably going to be around 14, 15. As much as I hate it, I don't think we're making the playoffs, nor do I think we're going to have a high enough pick to make damage. Who are we thinking for the Pats?
Dude, it's already written. It's written in stone. It's Bill Belichick, his love affair with Nick Saban and Alabama.
Oh, God.
Mac Jones is going to be the next quarterback of the New England Patriots.
Oh,
that's a great take. I haven't heard that one yet.
I
Mac Jones. Matt, and he just fits that. He comes from a pro style offense, smart guy. 4 years at Alabama under that system. He's one of the, according to PFS, him and Zach Wilson are two of the best deep ball throwers in the country. It is. I like Kyle Trask too, but it's Mac Jones to New England.
I love that take. I love it. That is probably, I've never been more sold on something that quickly. The system, the number of years in college, the intelligence, it literally fits.
So wait. I got a question though. Like, what pick overall do they finish with? Like top, 15 for sure, right?
15, 16, probably. Yeah, somewhere in that range, mid-range.
So is Mac Jones a little bit early for that spot, or do you guys like him at that placement? Because I thought he was like a late first rounder in my opinion, but once again, I haven't really started breaking it down yet.
I would definitely say, Chase, that he profiles for me as right now as more of a late first. But here's the thing, right? If he's not going to be there when they come back in the second, and the 5th-year option for the quarterback is so critical. So maybe, and I don't know New England's draft capital, and now once you start doing this, you're really reaching. But if they went a different direction with that first pick and they wanted Mac Jones, trade up back into the 4th at the end of the first round and grab your quarterback there. But I wholeheartedly believe when it's all said and done, I know this seems crazy. I think we're going to see 5 or 6 quarterbacks going round one because here's the thing. And Chase, we talked about this on the open bar pod. You guys, honestly, like the quarterback position right now in the NFL is not good, man. There are a lot of teams. There are a lot of bad quarterback plays. And if you don't have a quarterback, it is crippling. And I think we're starting to see a shift with these NFL teams, man, that they're not giving these guys 3-4 years to develop. Like, all right, if Daniel Jones doesn't get his shit together, there's a real chance that he's not the guy long term. I just don't think they're giving these guys, all that time to develop. And I think we're going to see 5 or 6 going round one.
So, Ray, it's like you read the show sheet because the next team up I have on replaceable quarterbacks is your New York Giants with Daniel Jones.
That's called podcast host command, and I knew that was coming, so I set you up.
I love it. I love the segue. It's flowed smooth. I mean, Daniel Jones is absolutely not the guy. What's funny is, as weird as it sounds, I don't hate what Judge is doing. I don't hate what he's instilling in that team. They've been kind of running wild for a while. Do I think that that's going to last long term? No, but I think he's the right guy for this short term job. I don't think that Daniel Jones is the guy for this team. I think that fantasy players, a lot of people, because we are a fantasy podcast, are going to see the fantasy numbers and say, I love Daniel Jones. He has that floor. He has that rushing. He'll pop off those 40-yard runs, which is going to give you that floor number that's going to put him in like quarterback 15. That's not the NFL. The NFL is not fantasy. Those 40-yard runs that you're getting your points on aren't what make winning franchises. Daniel Jones, to me, is a nice athlete. He's a nice player. And in a system that can support him because they have talent, because they have the coaching, he could possibly be that type of guy. To me, he's closer to a Jacoby Brissett type, a good backup who you could put in, won't kill you, but not a guy who's going to lead you to the promised land. I do like the Giants starting over again with the new quarterback this year. Who do you guys like for that spot? Do you like the Giants going quarterback? And who do you like if they head in that direction?
I'm just going to start out and say I completely disagree, by the way. But, Ray, go ahead and start it.
Well, no. Go ahead, Chase. Go ahead.
All right, so I completely disagree 100% because of the fact that Jason Garrett – he's been clapping too long. It took him a minute. Because he's been clapping too long. He actually had to go back into his playbook instead of looking at his hands and the plays that he was calling off his hands, because that's why he's clapping. He's actually, looking at his play sheets. The reality is, it's like he's finally had an opportunity to kind of break it all out. And by the way, his first chance that he got to start all 3 rookie offensive linemen went phenomenally up against the Washington football team. They kept the guys off. These guys were hungry. These guys were mean. Lemieux out there was a guy that they didn't see as a overall great skill guy, but he was more of like a Richie Incognito type player, as to where he brought that mean, that fire to the offensive line. Lemieux got in, Perk got in, then we had Andrew Thomas in there, and they held the Washington football team off. And then they did it again this past week. So all of a sudden, Daniel Jones is now left with running lanes. They got rid of the cancer to an extent with Golden Tate, right? Golden Tate is hopefully fixing himself. And this team is all of a sudden clicking. And I hated Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was probably I laughed. I sat back and I laughed for probably a good 30 minutes about how stupid of a pick it was. But looking at it now, I was an idiot for laughing, to be honest with you guys. Like, I feel kind of dumb because of the way that they can surround this team, and because of the way that Joe Judge is running it, and because of the way that Jason Garrett is coaching. Jason Garrett is the person that made Tony Romo to an extent. He's the person that made Dak Prescott to an extent, and he's somebody that can pretty much mold any quarterback there is to find his strengths. It just took him a little bit because he's so used to being the head coach. Ray, what's up?
So I don't think Daniel Jones is the guy. But I don't think they replace him early next year. I really believe that they're going to give him one more shot. Yep. I think they're going to take a wide receiver early. I think it's going to be Jamar Chase. I think they're going to take Jamar Chase. You get Saquon Barkley back. They already said they wanted Evan Ingram back. They invested in the offensive line. This is Jones's shot. Okay, we haven't had a legitimate wide receiver around you. You get Jamar Chase. You pair him with Ingram and Darius Slayton. You get Saquon Barkley back. We've got offensive linemen. Now, I do think that in the second round, if a player like a Kyle Trask fell to the second, they would take a quarterback then, right? And you've got the QB behind Daniel Jones. So if he starts to stink it up, you put in your rookie quarterback. But I don't think they just punt him after this season. I think they're going to get him a weapon and say, all right, let's see what you got.
I dig it. Let's get to our last team. We kind of covered this a little bit, so let's do the quick take here. Ray, it's your Dallas Cowboys.
I threw it in there. I'm not going to lie. I literally just threw it in there.
Dude, I am staying. Next topic.
Let's move on to the running back positions. Let's talk about running backs could go in the first round, people that could go high, and teams that could use a running back. The first one out of the gate.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Running backs don't get picked in the first round anymore. That's not a thing. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the last pick of the first round. The Chiefs, ended up making that move. And I love DeAndre Swift, like we talked about. But pending the combine, how that goes, Etienne and Harris have a chance to be better than Swift. Arguably. Not obviously, but arguably. So do either one of these guys go in the first round? That's what I want to ask you first, Ray.
I don't think so. Okay. I don't think either of them go in the first round. And I think Travis Etienne is overrated, but that's another story.
Yeah, we'll probably end up getting to that here very shortly. All right, but I mean, it's something as to where like it's going to be a feeding frenzy in the beginning of the second round, kind of similar to how it was, this past year, right?
Yeah, and I actually had this conversation with Ryan McDowell and Matt Kelly before we started our seasonal drafts this year. I just think the way that we look at running back draft capital probably needs to shift a little bit. I know that in the past it was if they were drafted in the first round, they're a smash. And then if anything after that, they stink. But I think second round draft capital, as long as you're picked by day two, for me, if you're a second or third round pick, I'm fine. I think that's solid draft capital for a running back. So I don't even know. I think you asked me something. I completely went off on a tangent.
No, you're pretty accurate on that.
You nailed it. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. And I think what's going to happen is, I think what happens every year is you see these mock drafts, right? You see these guys, the Walter Football, you see the NFL.coms. There's always 2 or 3 running backs in the first round every damn time. And then people say, why did so-and-so fall?
Oh God, sorry. That face that Ray GQ.
Dude, I don't.
Yeah, do you want to address this real quick? Because that face was priceless.
Yeah.
Go for it.
There's just bad fantasy analysis out there floating around from big mainstream people. There's just some bad stuff, man. Like those Walter Football might be the worst of them all.
Walter Football is the worst.
Walter Football is but to your point, I do wonder. We talk about these GMs, like these people are supposed to be the smartest football minds in the land, right? There's some people on Twitter, I trust their talent evaluations more than people in these front offices. Like some stuff you're just like, why? Christian Ponder as a top 15 pick, EJ Manuel as a top, like what were you watching? Were we watching the same film? Like,
I will say that Dingus actually called James Robinson, the guy that's commenting right now. He actually called James Robinson before anybody that I ever knew called James Robinson, way before it all happened. Like I'm talking about, like he was on him from the season last year. He was on him on the combine, and he was also on him, after the draft. So I will say that he absolutely crushed it.
Respect is given where respect is due. I didn't. So hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
I miss like a champion. All right, so let's talk about the teams that are going to be drafting running backs relatively high, people that could be replaced. We're going to start out with the mess that is Miami. I mean, I loved what I saw from Gaskin. He was definitely a nice fill-in. Ahmed looked like a player. Breda's always been that guy that I feel like the community, we have a few of those, right, that the community loves more than the NFL does. A guy that flashes a little bit and people expect something from. He's a complimentary back. I don't think he's a starter. I couldn't have wanted a player to go to a team more than I wanted DeAndre Swift to go to Miami. That crushed me that it didn't happen.
Late first round pick, I thought it was going to happen.
That's all I wanted. But now I think Miami's a prime spot. Like, if you want to talk, I know you were talking Steelers for Najee Harris. Man, I would love him in Miami as well. I think there's somebody that is primed to take over that backfield with one of these guys, probably Breda playing the third down role, but I think that's a prime spot for a running back. What do you guys think about the spot, and who do you think is a good fill-in for that spot?
Ray, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I believe the Dolphins have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. I know they've got multiple picks in the first 3 rounds, I believe. I think they're going to get a running back. I like Myles Gaskin, but at 5'9", 205, it's crazy that he had 29 red zone touches, which is still 9th in the NFL at that size. But I mean, those guys are complementary pieces. It's time to build around Tua. And it's time to get a running back, and they're going to get a running back. And I just said that no running backs will be taken in the first round. With multiple draft assets and the fact that Miami's actually playing really well and those picks might be a little bit later, I think we could see it happen. If we're going to see it happen, I think Miami is a spot that it makes sense. They've got draft capital to play with. You've got a stud quarterback. You've got I still think they need a wide receiver, so that could throw a wrench in it. Are they going to go wide receiver, running back in the first round? But man, if Najee, and they drafted an offensive lineman, Austin Jackson, out of USC last year, so continuing to build that line, protect your quarterback. And what is great protection for your quarterback? A good running back that you can turn around and hand the ball to. So I would love to see Najee Harris in Miami. Oh my God. My sweatpants are tight right now.
Dude, I have to do the same thing on a regular basis when I get excited about DeAndre Swift. I have yet to watch a bunch of tape on Najee Harris. But the thing is it looks like the Dolphins are actually okay with going by committee. And, we've seen their analytics and how their analytics department operates, and they pretty much operate off of getting, these prime athletes at positions that matter. Arguably, running back does not matter to an extent as long as you believe in committees. So I'm actually leaning Chuba Hubbard on this one, while they keep Myles Gaskin as a pass catching back, and they can get Chuba Hubbard at the back of the second round, with their later second round pick. So you have your guy on early down rules. You have your Gaskin, who obviously gets hurt. Meanwhile, they have Salvin Ahmed, who, by the way, I had in the late third round, and I couldn't believe he kind of fell off after after his horrible combine showing. One of the worst combines when it came to expectations versus what actually happened. But he could still hang on to the back end of the roster. Meanwhile, they have Patrick Laird to an extent. They have guys that can be these pass-catching backs. So if they end up going towards their analytics style of draft picks, which is what they've shown us they're going to do, you could see Chuba Hubbard over there taking over that first and second down role. So I think that's actually the best fit for me personally. I would love to see Najee Harris there, by the way. But I think Najee Harris might get picked off in the early second round, and I don't know the Dolphins spent a first-round pick. If they would have done it on DeAndre Swift last year.
Yeah.
So here's why I like them possibly doing it this year, is because they do have a top 5 pick. The Dolphins are coming out in the top 5 because they have the Houston Texans first-round pick, which I think you go most likely offensive lineman. I mean, they look set on the defensive end of the ball. Flores is the coach you need on defense. I think that defense is solid, rock solid, and that's what's carrying them right now. So I think you can invest heavily in an offensive lineman with that top 5 pick. I think when you look at those lower picks, you're going to have 3. It's going to be rapid fire. And I think if they like a guy, similar to the way that Indianapolis went Pittman and then Taylor, I think if they like a guy at those 2 spots, if they think Harris is a guy and there's a glut at receiver, which this draft happens to be deep in, I could see them possibly going Harris with that pick, because you could follow up fairly quickly with other skill position picks if that's the way you want to go. So I would love for Tua to see them go offensive line with that Houston pick, which right now I think is projected at 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken. And then possibly if Harris is that guy, if he's the guy that's head and shoulders above, and then you can grab a couple of the skill positions on those fallout picks, because I think they might have a couple third as well. I mean, they have a war chest right now. That's the reason I could see them doing that, because you're already set on one side of the ball. You don't have to spend at quarterback up top. They have their quarterback, what they did last year. Last year they went quarterback with that high pick, and then we were hoping Swift was going to go. this year, I mean, what else are you going to do with that pick? So I think what it's going to come down to in that late pick, that 20, 21, 22, it's going to be that tier approach, right? And if they have one guy head and shoulders above the other, if they're feeling the same way, Ray, that I know you are, that Harris is the guy above everybody else, I could see them swinging for the fences. If not, I think they get one of that next tier and one of those 2 second-round picks. Whoever lands in that spot, though, is probably the early favorite to be that 101 in non-super flex leagues, because that is a prime landing spot.
So on to the Jets.
On to the Jets. I mean, the Jets is a hodgepodge of a mess.
Okay, hold on real quick. Hold on.
Yep.
Our guys at Walter Football, they have the Miami Dolphins taking a wide receiver early, which I believe they will.
By the way, I was going to wait because I was going to bring that up, but that's going to be the next segment, by the way.
Go ahead.
No. I'm waiting until the wide receivers.
We'll wait.
All right. All right.
Wait, who do you have taking on the second part? Wait, were you about to announce somebody else?
They do have them getting Najee Harris in the second.
Okay. All right. So you guys are on the same page as Walters. We're as a collective whole on the page.
Nope. He just happened to get one right.
This is great. This is phenomenal. This is great podcasting right here.
Oh, geez. All right, let's talk about the Jets. Frank Gore is 175 years old. Believe it or not, fun fact, Frank Gore was my first ever Dynasty rookie pick. That was the first guy I nabbed. And we're going to talk return on investment. I've been playing Dynasty for a long damn time. Too long, because I'm old. That was my first ever rookie pick. I blew that draft, the actual startup draft, because that was back then. You didn't realize how bad it was to do a startup draft and a rookie draft in reverse order. I blew the startup draft. I started Rudy Johnson and Marion Barber, and I felt like I was the shit, right? Because back then running backs were king. And the only thing that saved me was grabbing Frank Gore.
Marion the Barbarian was good.
He was a beast, man. I'll never forget the time he was supposed to get a safety and lost his shoe in the end zone. And took it to the house.
I got 1 year out of the Barbarian. Rudy Johnson was as solid as they come. I love that dude. He was bankable. Not flashy, but bankable. But Frank Gore is my first ever pick. Anyway, back on track here. The Jets. LaMichael Perrine is not a thing. Frank Gore is not a thing. Absolute disaster. Fucking dingus. Absolute disaster of a backfield. You know they're going quarterback early. You know they're going to get rid of Adam Gase, which is the reason why most people are staying away from him. They already have Mims, who I do think is a wide receiver 1. I actually like whoever lands in this backfield as a potential high-end pick in rookie drafts if they get somebody in that second round draft capital.
Yeah, this is one where I think we're going to be disappointed because I think they've got way more pressing needs. I think the Jets are a team that I believe whatever veteran free agent that they can get on a bargain bin deal,
that's what they do.
I'm not getting my hopes up for any legitimate running back to land there with significant draft capital. Whatever free agent's going to be available that's serviceable, I think they pair him with LaMichael Perrine, and then that's going to be your backfield next year in New York.
Kenyon Drake.
Oh,
all right. So, but I mean, honestly, it's going to be Kenyon Drake. So, I'm going to, withstand my views from the Jets because I feel the same way.
All right, so let's go quick. We're almost in 2 hours here. I think people are falling asleep on us. And I'd love to know who anyone drafted in the NBA, I guess. But next up, I threw the Bears in there because Chase loves talking about Dave Montgomery.
First off, let's go with the Texans real quick. The Texans aren't going to take a running back.
Oh, I skipped
the third round, right?
No.
Because their first pick's third round. They have 2 4th, 1 5th, 3 6th, 1 7th. They're not going to take a running back anywhere in there, right? They already did. They're not going to do it. Okay, cool.
This is DJ's job. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
No chance. Don't have enough draft capital. The Bears, Dave Montgomery is Chase's favorite player, so I wanted to give him a chance to expound upon that.
I don't hate Dave Montgomery. I don't think he's a good overall running back. I think he's decent, right? I think that if he was on one of 15 other teams, he would be okay. He'd be a good running back. Good, not great, just fine. He'd be okay. The reality is the Bears are all torn up. So I don't see them drafting a running back this year whatsoever because they need to rebuild the offensive line. We don't know what's going to happen with Allen Robinson. They need a quarterback. Like it's a whole mess over there. And to sit there and blame this all on David Montgomery is ridiculous. But I wouldn't have David Montgomery anywhere. I don't like David Montgomery at all. I don't see them drafting a running back.
Yeah, me either. I don't think David Montgomery is bad. I really don't. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's great, but I don't think he's bad. And I think he's a serviceable running back. Like, to be honest with you, it's like they got rid of Jordan Howard to get a slightly more athletic version of Jordan Howard. I mean, yeah.
All right, so next up we have the Falcons. Gurley's on a 1-year deal. I just haven't seen enough from him to think he's the right fit. I think this offense is set for a reboot overall. There's been a lot of whispers about Ryan being on the block, a lot of whispers about Julio being on the block. I think this team is set for a reboot. I don't love this landing spot. So I think if they go with the running back, I know, Chase, you mentioned Harris here as a possibility. I just don't love the spot. I think this is going to be a tough sledding for any rookie running back. So I'm hoping the guys that I like don't land in this spot, because I think this becomes a full reboot in Atlanta. And I'm a little nervous about the landing spot, but I do believe that a running back ends up there on a cheap rookie deal. It just depends on who. So how do you guys feel about that spot?
Essentially, they can't afford to pay anybody. So they're going to make one more run at it before they can trade Matt Ryan or release him, whatever the case is. But they're going to make one more run, and they're going to get the best running back in order to do so. And if Najee Harris can make it in the second round, that's who they take.
I hadn't really given the Falcons a lot of thought. I don't know how I'd feel about it, right now. But it's crazy because I believe they spent 2 first-round picks on offensive linemen 2 years ago. So that seems like they should. I just don't know what direction this team is going. I want to see what head coach they pick. It's not going to be, I think it's Raheem Morris running the show right now. It's not going to be him. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't have thoughts about Atlanta's landing spot. And to be honest with you guys, there aren't many running backs in this 2021 class that I feel really good about in the first place. So if it's not one of maybe 3 or 4 players, I'm just kind of like, I'll just take the one that got drafted the highest in the best situation.
Sure. And the last one we have is the Niners. Not a lot of money wrapped up in Mostert. Everybody else is heading for the chopping block. The one thing I do think is that if the Niners were to move away from Mostert and go to a running back, that has been fantasy gold, that system, that offense that they run. I think that is a stud play if they get somebody. I'm still a little nervous on the Mostert extension. I want to say it was $750K they gave him, not a ton of money. And everyone else is looking like they're out. JaMychal Hasty coming off the collarbone injury, restricted free agent. I think this offense is ripe for the picking, and I love the landing spot. I just don't know if they're going to spend a ton of draft capital to get the type of guy we're looking for in that place.
Yeah, is there anybody late, Ray, that would fit in this offense?
Yeah, and I think the prudent advice would be like Jarrett Patterson out of Buffalo. I think would be a great fit. Whoever they pick in the 4th or 5th round, then you just draft them in your rookie drafts. Like that's just the play, right? I don't think that they would use a high because they're going to be picking in the upper part of the first round. I doubt they do that.
Mid or so. Yeah.
They've got to rebuild some things on the defensive side of the ball and playing in the. And here's the thing that we have to think about as fantasy gamers. Okay, they're in the division with Kyler Murray, right? So they're going to have to make sure that they have defenders on the other side of the ball to get through Arizona because they are ascending and Kyler Murray is ascending. So I think that they're definitely going to have to invest in defense early. Whoever they take later on, you just draft that running back. You just get them later. You don't.
They're going to spend a lot of money on safeties. Spot. They're going to spend a lot of, draft capital on safeties.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, they got to go defense.
Yep, love it. All right, so moving on to the wide receivers, let's talk about some places where spots are going to be open, where they're potentially looking for a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2. Let's talk about who we like. Right out of the gate, the Colts, we're looking to moving away from T.Y. Hilton. I do love what they did with Pittman. I need somebody opposite him. I think we need a high-volume type guy there, but what are we thinking about the Indianapolis Colts, given the fact that both the quarterback position's uncertain, and realistically, we feel like there might be a wide receiver 1 there with Pittman. How do we think the Colts is a landing spot and anybody that fits there in terms of their play style?
So real quick, I know that Ray was huge on Pittman, right? And,
Big time.
like he loved Pittman. And my analysis was like a combination of Dwayne Bowe and somebody else, which I posted up to your page. I know you had a good laugh about it because it was like a quick show sheet I was doing. I was like, hey, I'm just going to take a quick clip out of this and let you laugh at this comment. Because I was like, a better Dwayne Bowe that has more consistency could be a red zone target. So go ahead and let us know what you thought about my take, how hard you laughed, and what you think about Pittman moving forward.
I'm just smiling now because now that I know you a little bit more, I just laughed at it. I was like, fucking Chase. That's what I was thinking. But
it was such a stupid take, but I was doing a quick show. I was like, I have to throw something together.
But Dwayne Bowe wasn't the worst wide receiver in the world. Like, to be honest with you, I mean, he wasn't bad. But I think Pittman is the wide receiver one moving forward. At 6'4", over 220 pounds. I mean, his size adjusted speed was absolutely ridiculous at the combine. I like him. I do think they need another compliment to him. T.Y. is cooked. Zach Pascal is what he is. Tight ends of consequence, none really. Doyle's old. Trey Burton, we don't believe in that. And Mo Alley Cox, as big as he is, he still can't stay on the field. So I think that'd be a good spot for a receiver. I don't really have a fit right now. I think they need more of a I don't even know. Like, Pittman's
you need
fast
a field
and
stretcher, man.
Yeah,
who you got with some wheels on him that's going to last to the late second round?
Tutu Atwell, but do you want to invest in a player that's that small? I think Tutu Atwell is a speedster. Rondell Moore, I don't think he's going to make it there. Jalen Waddle's going to be a top 20 pick. Speedsters in this class, there aren't many. There aren't many true burners that can get down the field. If they want to take a page out of the past, then you get another possession type receiver. And Devonta Smith, a lot of people say that he reminds them of Marvin Harrison. Whew. There you go. You get Devonta Smith there. He's not going to last into the late second, so they'd have to draft him. They'd have to draft him early. So if the trade for Carson Wentz goes down, the back half of the first round, Devonta Smith out of Alabama, could like work. Could work.
Mm-hmm. Take it. The
next one is easy for me. This is easy landing spot.
You got the Washington football.
Let's hear what you got.
Who do we like with McLaurin?
So first of all, they're going to take a quarterback, right? But in the event that they win a game or two and they're out of the Justin Fields sweepstakes, pencil in Jalen Waddle to Washington. It's going to happen.
You think that early?
I still think he's going to be a top 15 pick when it's all. I think what he did on film and his profile, it's going to get him picked in the top 15, top 20 picks. He's still that dude. They need a field stretcher opposite Terry McLaurin. Yes. They need that, and there's no better
slot.
And that's what Jalen Waddle does. He runs out of the slot and he stretches the field, and he's the best at it in this class. I still think I'm telling y'all, I still think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about that because I think that Waddle does end up going like he's a late teens type pick. And I think Washington ends up with the top 10. So I think that's a significant reach if they can't trade back. But it makes perfect sense. I don't disagree with you at all. And honestly, I think that they go after Juju Smith-Schuster in the free agent market.
You're not the first person that I've heard say that. And I like that a lot.
Well, I like that a lot. I thought I was going to be the first.
No, you weren't. You're not. But I if they do that, then I would like that as well. Yeah, Juju would be back to his number 2 role behind a true alpha. That's good.
You love some Terry McLaurin, don't you?
Love him. Top 10 dynasty wide receiver for me. Woo! Easy.
Love it. Oh, easy. No doubt. No question. Washington is basically 2 wins from picking 15th and losing out from picking 3rd. They're going to fluctuate greatly for the rest of the year. If they end up that top 5, I agree they go quarterback, but if they drop out, that could be interesting. Next spot up for what I believe will be Daniel Jones' successor taking advantage, unlike Chase. We have the Giants. I mean, let's face it, they're parading out Darius Slayton, who I really like as a wide receiver too. I just don't like him being the focal point of the offense. Evan Engram takes enough pressure off. I wish he could catch a little better. But this is a really nice spot for a wide receiver, one to slide in, complementary pieces. Who do we like going to the Giants and why?
So you brought up Jamar Chase, and I actually brought up Jamar Chase, which is kind of funny. But like, I feel like people, and like I said, I haven't started breaking down film. I break down film after the season. You're the Devy expert, so I want to hear your take on this. But I feel like people like there's a misconception that Jamar Chase is like this alpha, 6'2", 6'3" type dude, and he's big, physical, like he's just that guy, and I don't see that. Like, isn't he like 6 foot, and isn't he more of he's not a field stretcher, but he's very similar to almost Jerry Jeudy when it comes to a precision route runner that can also make plays like CeeDee Lamb. So, like, they already have Slayton over there, who's, more of this smaller type, I guess field stretcher role. Like, wouldn't they rather have a possession type receiver over there? Or what do you see for the Giants?
Okay. So this was my comp for Jamar Chase. He's a combination of Mike Evans and AJ Brown. He is not a very precise route runner. He's not. That's not his game.
Okay.
He's a tackle breaking, high ball catching, point of attack physical wide receiver. He was one of the highest rated wide receivers as far as forced missed tackles, yards after the catch, and his yards per reception last year were ridiculous as well. Yards per route run, they just told him to go long. And if you watch first of all, he's not big. A lot of people think he's like 6'2", 6'3". He's 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's not a big guy. And that's why when I said that comp, people automatically go to physical comps, but that's not what I'm saying. He can break tackles and force missed tackles like AJ Brown, but when the ball is in the air, he's physical at the point of attack like Mike Evans. Like, just go down the field and go get it, Jamar Chase. I think he's actually a really good complement to what Darius Slayton does. And I think for a quarterback like Daniel Jones, if you put it in the vicinity of him, that dude knows how to get it. If you get it to him quickly, he's physical enough to make defenders miss in space and pick up yards after the catch. I like Chase in New York.
Okay. I can understand that 100%. I feel like they would want a more, physical presence when it comes to a big time, X receiver. I'm not saying that Jamar Chase isn't that.
Here's the problem though, Chase. Here's the problem. We don't have many of those guys in this class. They're about, when you're talking like prototypical X receiver, 6'3", even 6'2", Rashad Bateman is that. He's not going to be drafted before Jamar Chase. Seth Williams is probably the biggest, most athletic one in this class, but he's also very raw from Auburn at 6'4", 224 pounds. Then you've got a Sage Surratt out of Wake Forest, who's also 6'4", Tamarion Terry, 6'4", but you don't have a lot of those. We don't have a lot of those prototypical X guys. We got a lot of, it's a weird class of receivers. I think it's super talented, but you've got skinny guys that don't fit the BMI mold. You've got short guys who don't fit the prototypical X receiver. You've got Jamar Chase, who's a part of this historic LSU team that didn't play this year. It's a weird group of wide receivers.
But what if the Giants make the playoffs? That's going to automatically boot them into the 20s for draft picks or the late teens.
Yeah. And if that happens, then they take a Rashad Bateman. I think they're going to get they're going to, then they take a Rashad Bateman. If Chase is off the board, then they go Bateman. They're going to get a receiver, whomever it is. And I think they're looking for more of that prototypical X. Unfortunately, we just don't have a lot of guys like that in this class.
Sounds good. Do we know to go in rapid fire because we've been keeping you for so long?
Oh, yeah. We can keep rolling. Yeah, we don't want to take up too much of your time, my man.
Yeah, my wife is asleep, y'all. Like, it's 8:50. I'm good.
All right, cool.
Like,
We'll keep
rolling. Hey, let's do it.
Let's go.
So just a quick touch on what you guys hit, man. There's no one I feel worse for than the fans of whoever wins the NFC East. That is literally the nightmare scenario. Every other team's going to be picking high up, and whoever wins that division is going to get a first-round knockout. Oh, man. All right. So apparently Jamar Chase is going to be cloned because Chase has been going to Miami as well. Why don't you guys talk about the Dolphins and their need for a number one wideout and who you think the right fit is there?
That's what I wanted to talk about is the fact that Jamar Chase is actually a perfect fit for Miami. Opposite of Devontae Parker, if Preston Williams comes back decently healthy, Devontae Parker can slot in as that big, or I guess fill in as a big slot receiver. Meanwhile, you have not a field stretcher, but an alpha, a true alpha over there with Jamar Chase. Let us hear your thoughts while I keep my dog from barking like a maniac.
I know I got mine down here too. I'm all about calling shots, man. Tua's getting his guy back. And Devonta Smith is going to be paired back up with Tua Tagovailoa. Mark, in this new age, man, these GMs are asking these quarterbacks, like, who do you want? Who do you want? And if you go back to 2017, national championship game, who did Tua throw the winning touchdown pass to? Devonta Smith. Who did it seem like every time Tua needed a first down, who was he going to? It wasn't Henry Ruggs. It wasn't Jalen Waddle. It wasn't Jerry Jeudy. It was number 6, Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith was the best receiver on that team last year. He's the best wide receiver on that team this year. He's going to be a first-round pick. And I believe that if there's an opportunity presents itself, if Chase is off of the board earlier than, like, I think he's going off the board early, Devonta Smith is going to be Tua's new receiver in Miami.
All right, so let me take that. I love that take where we're going. We're going to get that high volume. That is the way it falls. Chase to the Giants and Smith to Miami. I'm putting Smith on that rocket ship, probably just below Najee Harris, who I think is the only running back one in this class. I think Smith slots in that really nice number 2 spot, and then probably Chase number 3, and then we can talk about some of the running backs. I would literally fall in love with that. I think that would be exactly what Miami needs. I think that's exactly what Tua needs. I think that's what Smith needs. I love that take. I hope that one comes true. So if you wrote that in stone, man, I will love that for every one of my dynasty drafts.
There we go, baby. There we go.
All right, so next up, we kind of covered them a lot with Cephas. Right now, only 2 on the roster. We got the Lions, who are pretty wide open. Still probably have a couple years. I know he hasn't been the picture of health, but man, I still got a soft spot for Stafford. He can support multiple receivers. He has that skill, and I think the Lions are going to need somebody. I mean, if Cephas is probably better slotted as the number 3, like we talked about, I think Golladay comes back. I want to see someone next to him. Field stretcher, as Chase said, who do we like for the Lions as a good fit for them, slotting in at that wide receiver too?
I don't know, man, and I really don't like it. Like, whoever it is, I'm not going to be investing. Like, I've just said, learn your lesson, talent over landing spot. But Galladay's the one. Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift out of the backfield.
Yep.
What is that number 2 wide receiver like? And I asked this question, and I don't know. When Golladay and Marvin Jones were on the field together, was Marvin Jones relevant?
Nope.
He had a couple games, but it was very spotty.
Pops from time to time, but you couldn't trust him. You could never trust him.
Well, and if Galladay's back, then they're going to try to get a speed guy. And if they go speed guy, to Chase's point, what if Jalen Waddle is there? I think that would not be good for me. Like, that's a suboptimal situation for a wide receiver too. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, no, I like the call. It feels a lot like the Saints situation to me, where realistically you have a high-powered passing offense, but you're never going to rely on that wide receiver too. You're playing Michael Thomas, you're playing Kamara, you're playing Jared Cook, but you can never figure out who that next guy is going to be, and there's never consistent volume. So it almost becomes more of Galladay's handcuff, more so than a consistent fantasy starter. So I agree, that's not what you're looking for with a top 5 or 6 rookie pick. More of a early second round if the talent's there, probably even further down if you're talking about a home run stretch there.
Couldn't agree more.
And funny we should mention that, because next up I have the Saints. Honestly, you want to talk about anything different from the Saints than we just talked about from the Lions? The only reason I could see it being a potential landing spot is if they do move away from Thomas. Seems like you have a malcontent situation. Both sides don't seem incredibly thrilled. I'm not sure how much was injury, how much was attitude. But there has been whispers there. If Thomas sticks around, I hate this landing spot. If he leaves, I really need to see who the quarterback is. I mean, if they're going to invest in Hill long-term, I hate the landing spot even if Thomas isn't there. But if they bring back Jameis as the guy, he can certainly support a couple wide receivers. But regardless, I think if Thomas is still on the roster starting 2021, I want nothing to do with this situation. But what do you guys think?
How are they going to move Thomas? And I don't know his contract situation. I'm just basing it off. I know he just got paid. Is that even a realistic possibility? Like,
yeah, because the salary cap is fake. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's loopholes everywhere. And we keep on. The thing is, we have these conversations all the time. And it used to exist. It used to exist prior to the 2011 CBA and then a couple years after that. But then teams started to get smart. And they're like, hey, what if we get this team to pick up this? What if we get this team to take care of that? What if, we make this agreement with the CBA? And all of a sudden, we saw the first instance where I realized that the salary cap was fake was with Joe Flacco and his contract. When they were like, hey, we're going to trade him away and we're going to get this team to take on this amount of contract. Meanwhile, we're going to spread the rest of this dead cap that was supposed to be double what it was over the next 2 years. And now it's cut into a quarter per each year. And it's something I swear, dude, I'm not a lawyer. I don't write contracts. None of us, unless Ray, you're going to pull, some sort of thing out of your pocket as to where you know more than I do about this kind of stuff. And
I actually am a lawyer, but continue.
Are you really?
I like it.
Oh God, now I just feel dumb. All right,
No, but I still don't. But that doesn't mean I still don't. I'm not well versed in the salary cap, contract, NFL stuff. So yeah.
I've been studying this for years, and I feel dumb every single time I say somebody cannot do something because I've been taking so much interest into this stuff, and I've read into the CBA laws. I literally have read contracts like logistics of it and brought it to my aunt's attention who does contracts, and she's like, yeah, they I don't know how they were able to do this. It's all fake behind the scenes. As long as the CBA is okay with it, they can pretty much do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, so there's two ways to make it happen. Number one, you need Thomas to be on board because you're going to have to be converting the salaries. The way they play it around is they convert some to bonus, they convert some to deferred. That's how you make it happen. The only landing spot, though, you're going to get with a contract like this, the way you make it work is you do it with a rookie quarterback, someone on the rookie scale, the pay scale. That's how it happens. And what's so great about that is Thomas is the perfect safety blanket for a rookie quarterback that you're trying to bring up to speed. So you're looking at a quarterback that's been drafted in the last 3 years. That's the type of team that could make it happen. There has to be willingness on both sides, though. Number one, New Orleans has to be able to take something for Thomas, and they're not going to get much because there is that dollar figure, right? He's not cheap. He's not someone, there's going to be a limited market. Thomas has to be willing to convert some of the money on the contract, and someone with the rookie contract someone with the rookie quarterback contract has to want to bring him on. It's a lot. So do I see it happening? No. Could it happen? Absolutely.
Why not Miami then?
Miami would be sick.
I mean, would New Orleans accept a second round pick for Thomas? Is that too much for a player like Michael Thomas?
I think it's too much for that contract. I think you're going to see a lot less. I think, and this is what drives football fans crazy, is that once you pay a guy once you give him his nut, his draft capital drops significantly if you're going to trade him. When you make that contract, when you make that investment, you're looking at it almost like a house, right? Like if you sell your house in the first 3 years of owning it, you've paid nothing but interest. You lose money on that deal. That's what these big mega contracts are. If you don't play out until the end where there's, very little money left, dead money on the cap, you have to take less just to get them off the books. I think it's that type of trade.
Damn. All right. Hey, man, I'm here to learn.
I don't think he's going anywhere personally. I think that he's kind of stuck with the Saints as it is. But I'm interested to see what happens with Traquan Smith now that Jameis Winston can actually open up that offense.
I mean, he's got to stay on the field, though. He's got to stay on the field. He's missed opportunities because of injury. Callaway went off the game that should have been Traquan Smith's game because he couldn't stay on the field.
I don't disagree. All right, so let's hit the next team.
Yeah. So next up, we had a couple more wide receivers. Next up is the Browns. I actually, in the flip side of Thomas, I don't see any way in God's green earth that Odell Beckham is a Cleveland Brown. And next year, I think Jarvis Landry is coming to the point. I think that injuries are catching up with him. And I've loved Juice. I've loved Juice for years, right? But he's not a wide receiver one. He's just not. So I think they need somebody that's going to take the reins. And my goodness, they need to get Baker help to see if this guy's an actual NFL quarterback. Believe it or not, I like the landing spot. I actually really like this landing spot. And I think that they have to do something to get this right because they're going to be having a ton of egg on their face. They reached out their neck on Baker Mayfield. They brought him Beckham. They brought him Landry. He hasn't done it yet. I think this will be the last shot for Baker and the last shot for this Cleveland team to get things right. So I think they're going to pepper whoever they land with targets.
Stefanski isn't that guy. Stefanski is not the guy. He's never been part of that offense. He wants to take a late round wide receiver and just develop him. Every single offense he's ever been a part of is late round. Laquan Treadwell is the only guy that they've ever taken early that he's been a part of with an organization. And look what happened. They're going to develop Donovan Peoples-Jones. They're going to cut Odell Beckham, and they're going to restructure Jarvis Landry's contract. If not, just cut him.
I'll tell you a later round guy that I think would fit well with Cleveland, that would fit well with Baker Mayfield. Comes from that a winning program, is playing really well this year, is Amari Rodgers. I think Amari Rodgers, he's a wide receiver out of Clemson, not the biggest guy, right? Doesn't profile as this dominant X wide receiver, but precise route runner, sure-handed. He's got legitimate speed. He's around the same size as Odell Beckham Jr., but plays a little different game than OBJ, plays more inside in the slot. And I know you've got Jarvis Landry there, but I think Amari Rodgers would be a player that in the 4th or 5th round, if he ended up in Cleveland, he'd be somebody that I'd be interested in. So just throwing that out there.
They can cut both Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, save $31 million with only $3 million in dead cap space.
Well, and if they go for a player that's a little bit higher, if that's the case, then look no further than the state of Ohio and Chris Olave out of Ohio State. Who's not going to be a first-round pick, has got speed to stretch the field, but just right there in their backyard, you've got Chris Olave out of Ohio State.
Where does he go? What round? 3rd?
I think after he runs, Chase, he's going to be a second-round pick. He probably should be a 3rd, but after he tests, he's probably going to be a second-round pick.
All right. Let's move on to the next one.
Let's get to this last team. Let's face it, they shouldn't need a wide receiver. They just shouldn't. Disaster struck. But the Houston Texans could use a wide receiver. Every time we talk about the Texans, you're going to start with Brandon Cooks. I'm going to go ahead and plug my preseason pick that I still love, which was Mixon's outside the top 15 and Cooks is inside the top 15. Their respective position. Cooks is really starting to creep up, but still not the picture of health. Fuller's a free agent. Randall Cobb's just not somebody you want to be the focal point of your offense. So this is another offense that primed to step up. They have to fix the mistake they made with Hopkins. I mean, my goodness, that has to be the biggest blunder I've seen in the NFL in 30 years. They have to fix that. They just got Watson his contract. They got to give him something he can work with. They've been piecing it together. I think this is a prime landing spot. And again, somebody I would love, honestly, just because of the offense. I think this is a prime landing spot for a rookie to come in and produce right out of the gate.
All right, you know who Twitter's going to lose their mind over? Because they don't have a pick into the 3rd round, right? Mm-hmm. Third round's their first pick. Yep. And Deshaun Watson likes to throw the deep ball, right? Likes to throw it deep. Got Will Fuller. He likes that. I've got 2 players that fit the mold that I think would work well with Deshaun Watson. One is De'Ami Brown, the wide receiver out of North Carolina. If you don't know who he is, go look him up and go look at what he's done with Sam Howell in the deep ball. And the other guy is Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State. I think those 2 players, they're not going to be first-round picks. I don't think they're going to be second-round picks.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Borderline.
You're not saying that with your chest, Ray. You're hovering here.
But did the Texans not spend a 3rd pick on an offensive lineman? Like, for real?
Well, didn't it? What they got? What's his name? They got Tunsil, man.
Yeah,
and then
Tunsil's where they picked
Tunsil, and they drafted. God, what's his name? I just saw his damn jersey the other day. I can't think of his name. Are you talking about
Titus Howard?
Yeah, how is he? Is he any good?
No, he was a first-round pick 2 years ago, and he was actually behind Andre Dillard. They wanted Andre Dillard. The Eagles traded up one spot ahead to grab him.
They've got to fix the fuck up of moving Nuke. They're gonna get it. They've got Watson's. Okay, is Will Fuller signed? I don't know.
So he's a free agent. He's a free agent this upcoming year. and they have Randall Cobb, who was signed for a 4-year contract for like $10 million a year.
Oh, it's wild what they gave him.
Dude. Oh my God. So this is like, all right. If there was never a team that I would ever want to take over as head coach or GM, probably more GM more so than head coach, this would be it. It's an absolute like dumpster fire. They screwed this team over because they were going. Bill Bryan's like, hey, I'm either gonna get fired this year or we're gonna make the playoffs again, and I'm gonna get fired after the season. Like, so I'm going all in. This is all or nothing. And he screwed this team over for probably a good 20 years, just like how the Washington football team screwed themselves over with the RG3. Very similar situation, if not worse.
But on the plus side, though, you do have Stills and Fuller coming off the cap at about 10.5 mil at the wide receiver position. Gives you a little breathing room. But I agree, Cobb was a straight disaster.
So who do they go in the season with as wide receivers? If Fuller's gone, if Stills is gone, Isaiah Coulter and Brandon Cooks?
Cooks, and Cobb. That's your three right now. The 3 C's. It's ugly. It is ugly.
and I think that Jordan Akins is actually a free agent or he's borderline. Dude, it is so bad. It is so bad. Like, that's why Deshaun Watson was trying to seek a trade secretly at the beginning of the season, because after they traded that away and they saw everything that's going on, he's like, I don't have a future here. Like, if I don't win the Super Bowl this year, I'm screwed. Yeah, he wasn't actively seeking a trade, but they were open to trading him at one point in time. It was very under the radar. It was very underground, as some people may call it.
I like it. All right, so let's try to fire through the tight end. We've talked about a wasteland it is, and let's be honest, we're in 2 hours and 10 minutes, and we're losing daylight followers and everything. So let's get rolling. So we have Kyle Pitts and everybody else. Ray, I know we just met, so you don't know my Twitter is 90% messing with Gesicki truthers. That's just how I roll. I call them out at every corner, and I just think he's not that guy. I think, again, we've talked about getting two or another weapon, whether it's in the wide receiver position or the tight end. He needs that pass catcher. He needs somebody who he can dump the ball off to that has a chance to take to the house. So, I mean, a Kyle Pitts type, like an athletic type tight end that he could get the ball to and make things happen. I love Miami, but what do you think of the landing spot there?
Yeah, but I'm not out on Gesicki. So they add somebody. I don't even think that they might not even address it, honestly. Mm-hmm. I mean, Gesicki, I'm still in on Gesicki. I don't really think I can't see them. They're not going to get Pitts. Pitts is going to be a top 10 pick.
I think he's be top 10.
I do. He's a better tight end.
I'm a little shocked at that. I thought he'd be like top 15, not top 10.
If I'm conservative, I'll say top 15. I think we saw TJ Hawkinson go in the top 10, and I think he's a better tight end prospect than Hawkinson.
Ooh.
I do. I know a lot of people loved Hawk because he could block. He's a good blocker and can do all what they can do in the receiving game. It's not even close. Kyle Pitts as a receiver is better than TJ Hawkinson, and I like Hawkinson as well. And he's an underrated blocker. He's a wide receiver playing tight end. He's the best tight end that I've seen in a very, 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 very long time of just watching football and being in the space. So back to the Dolphins. I don't think they're taking a tight end early. I think Gesicki's there.
Gesicki's too much of value there. And up until they utilize the tight end more often or more efficiently, I should say, that's going to be the difference between. I actually messaged him and I was like, Dolphins have Gesicki, and he's like, man, you've got I wanted the Dolphins just to be able to bash them.
I just have fun. That's my one guy. While we're kind of on the subject, the one thing I will say, having played Dynasty for a considerable amount of time, Ray, I'm with you. I love Kyle Pitts, and I will tell you there is 0% chance that I'm drafting him in any of my rookie drafts. I will go ahead and trade for him. Trade deadline time at end of the season. Kyle Pitts is going to be a great NFL player and is going to be a trap dynasty pick because of the hype you're going to see, because of what you're going to hear about him. He's going to go top 5 in non-superflex dynasty rookie drafts, and it's going to be regret because it is still going to take him a year. It's a complex position. There's a lot to it. You're a hybrid wide receiver, offensive lineman. You never see guys coming out realistically other than Rob Gronkowski. I can't think of a rookie tight end that actually paid out on a draft pick. So what I will say is Kyle Pitts will be a guy I'm avoiding in my rookie drafts and a guy that I am targeting in trade at end of the year in every league that I'm in. I'm hoping my league mates aren't following me because it's going to be a pretty easy thing. I do it with every rookie tight end. Kyle Pitts will be no exception for me. All right, next up we have the Bengals. Uzma, Sample, just not much there. Rookie tight end, fitting in with Burrow, fitting in with the team that's stacked at wide receiver. Don't think it's a great landing spot in terms of fantasy, but in terms of the NFL, could really round out that offense. How are we feeling about the Bengals?
I don't know. I mean, Drew Sample was still the pick of the head coach, Zach Taylor. He was his first second-round pick. He's still there. I don't know. Like, if they do get one, it's going to be one of the guys later, like Hunter Long out of Boston College, which I love Hunter Long's tape. Kenny Yeboah from Ole Miss. You've got a couple of other players. I don't think any of the high-end assets. I think there's a big three at tight end in this 2021 class. I don't believe Cincinnati's going to invest high enough draft capital to get either of those three. I would love to see Brevin Jordan out of Miami there with Joe Burrow, and we did see Joe Burrow made Thaddeus Moss. Thaddeus Moss was a hot steaming pile of garbage. And we see that he's not even in the NFL, I don't believe. So I do think he could support. Like we saw Drew Sample in his first action have like 10 targets, right? And then what happened? So I don't think it's a bad landing spot. I just don't think they're going to get any. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to roll with Sample again.
It's not part of the offense, and Joe Burrow doesn't pass the tight end near enough for them to invest in it.
Yeah.
Last one is a spot that I like in terms of the offense, in terms of the fit. I just don't know who's going to be throwing to them. We've talked about them going high on a quarterback. They're rolling out the corpse of Tyler Eifert right now. Jacksonville Jaguars realistically are fairly set at the skill position, hit a home run at running back, which makes that not a priority at this point. They're set at wide receiver. I love what they're doing with Chark. I love what they're doing with Chenault, and I'd love to see them add that one more piece. I love the Jags as a landing spot for a tight end to go with whoever they draft as a rookie quarterback this year.
Pat Freiermuth to Jacksonville. Tight end from Penn State. Another athletic freak. I don't know what Penn State feeds their players. I mean, they just have athletic freaks all over the board. But Pat Freiermuth to Jacksonville paired with one of those rookie quarterbacks would be money. And Freiermuth, if you haven't seen him, he is the prototypical. I mean, he's like 6'5", 260. He reminds me of Travis Kelce. Like, that's who he plays like, is Travis Kelce. Everyone thought he was going to declare. This year, he goes back to Penn State, former baseball player. Just Google Pat Freiermuth. He's legit, and I could see him being an absolute monster in Jacksonville.
Love it.
Dude, it makes perfect sense. Like, they link up together so well. Now, we have been burning the candle on both ends when it comes to all sorts of talk, and it's insane because we didn't even have any questions. Could you imagine how long this episode would have gone if we actually had questions? Like, Ray, like, we sit there and we're like, all right, we're aiming at an hour. Okay. After the questions are done, it's like an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes on most shows. We didn't have any questions tonight, and we're still like not finished with this episode just yet. So we're going to sit there and, Mike and I have a bet. It was going from week 7 or week 6, week 7, somewhere in there, as to where the number one rookie wide receiver would actually finish out as either Higgins or the field. The loser had to drink a Big Mac smoothie, so we're still waiting to see who that is. And actually, I'm losing now because Higgins is leading all this. And this is actually a credit coming from, of course, Dingus, who had to do it already. So we decided we wanted to do a rookie at each position. Now we can do it draft order.
I ain't drinking no damn Big Mac smoothie.
No. We're not making bets. We're not making bets. We're just talking rookies at each position. Okay, chill out. No, we're not going to make you do that. You've already eaten baby food. All right. I don't want. Was that the potathon?
That was Pete Overzet. That was the randomizer show.
Yeah. That's right. He decided to eat some expired baby food.
Oh man.
For no reason whatsoever, just because.
All right. Well, hey, Chase, I just got the text that I'm getting kicked out of here because Kelly wants to go to sleep. So do you want to get to the rookie picks here?
No, we're going to take an extra 15 minutes. All right.
You tell her.
All right. So let's go. Ray, who's your first rookie quarterback that you're taking to finish out the year as your 101?
Justin Herbert.
Mike, you go second since you're going to get kicked out anyways.
Do I have to take a different person because it's Herbert?
No, let's do a different person.
Oh, fine. Then give me Burrow.
All right, I'll take Tua. No problem. I'm taking Tua. All right, so running back now. I'll start out since the snake draft, right? Got to do snake.
Yep.
All right, I got Swift.
Oh, my turn?
Yep.
I'm still going Taylor.
Okay. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oof. All right, you're up again for the wide receiver position.
Justin Jefferson.
Oh, I was hoping so bad you would take Higgins. I was hoping so bad that you would take Higgins and fuck over Mike.
You know who I got. Go ahead.
All right, I have to take – God, I want to take Jerry Jeudy, but I'm going to take Pittman at this point.
All right, you're back up.
I know, and I got the tight end. This is like non-existent right now. I don't even know who. I'm going to take Troutman. He's been dominating the staffs. I'll take Troutman as of late. This is bad. I hate taking Troutman, by the way. But
I'm going to take Harrison Bryant on this one for this year.
I'm going to let my pick time out and wait till 2021 and take fire me if you can.
He's going to trade yours for a third round pick.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I appreciate you coming in, Ray. Let everybody know where they can find you. Patreon and all. Let's do this.
Yeah, patreon.com/allgas, exclusive access to me. Devy is my thing. So if you want to know about the rookies, come holler at me there. And if not, check me out on Twitter at RayGQ. Make sure you check out the show, Destination Devy. Stay ahead of your league mates. Dynasty is chess, not checkers, baby. Come get at me.
Did you have that written down somewhere? Because it seems like you have it written down somewhere.
I just say it constantly. When I sleep, my wife's like, "You're talking about Patreon." I'm like, "Yeah."
I love it, man. Mike, what's up, man? Where can we find you?
Dad's Home FF. You can find me at Join Our Circle _. That's where everything is. You can catch me here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. bringing that fire detail with the best guests in the industry, including tonight. So much fun, man. Absolutely loved it. Come hang out with us every Wednesday. This is where we do it.
Yeah, if you guys want to run over on a podcast and listen for 2.5 hours, just come join our circle _ at join our circle _ on Twitter. And you guys can find me at FF _ intervention. We got websites launching. We've got rockets launching. We've got nuclear bomb. Wait, what? Anyways, make sure you guys go follow us up and join our circle _ Appreciate you guys for coming in. Thank you guys for letting us intervene with your fantasy football lives. We're out.